what's up YouTube? I'm Z, and this channel shows you the world through my lens. So people have been asking me to do this for a bit, and I definitely was trying to find like a time to do it. So I thought I'd finally go ahead and get started this week. I am also planning on doing 38 Baby 2, which is what most people were requesting when I went through the comments and kind of added up all the comments together. So as you can see up here, I've actually gone ahead and loaded all of those videos. I plan on trying to record that either tonight or tomorrow morning. And then if things go smooth, it'll be out the same day. If not, usually like a couple days for copyright, and then it'll be out. But in the meantime, I felt like I kept pushing this off, but I personally am also interested in what this is, as well as you guys wanting to see me react to it. So it is 6 hours long. So we're going to have to do this in parts. I am going to record this session for about an hour. So I'm not sure if we'll actually get an hour through, and then the next ones will be a little bit longer. It's just today I'm pretty limited. I have to be done in 1 hour from now. So that's why we're going to do it that way. If you guys have any suggestions and stuff, feel free to comment down below, and I can definitely modify how I do the next parts, but this is how we're doing first part, and then we'll take it from there. So this is Real Killer or Fake Gangster by Traplore Ross. Let's check it out.
Warning. This video contains themes of violence, death, and gang activity. The purpose of this video is to provide an educational account of historical events in the mainstream music industry. No disrespect is intended. This video does not intend to glorify or glamorize the gang lifestyle. Every effort has been made to remove anything from this video that goes against YouTube's community guidelines, including swearing and violence. But if you'd like to see a fully uncut version of this video with everything I can't show you on YouTube, then head on over to patreon.com/TraploreRoss, where you can watch all of my biggest documentaries uncut for just $2. But if you're not into that, just hit the subscribe button and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you.
I'm kind of curious now what the uncut version has that's not allowed on YouTube.
Over the last 5 years, there's been few rappers that have generated as much excitement and controversy as YoungBoy. His music is personal, thought-provoking, and violent in equal measure. He's one of the few artists who can top the Billboard charts with music all about killing, death, and destruction. But his ability to communicate the stark realities of life growing up in the dangerous slums of Baton Rouge have inspired people all over America and the world at large. YoungBoy's experiences in the gang-infested slums of Louisiana, where it's kill or be killed, inspired a generation of downtrodden youngsters to struggle through the pain too. Because despite losing family members and being the target of numerous assassination attempts, YoungBoy has always managed to come out on top. Not just surviving, but beating the odds and coming back bigger every single time. It's rare to find an artist who attracts this much love and hate all at the same time. And
So right away, when he started talking about him, I was kind of curious, like what level of balanced commentary we would get. And I would have to say, like, the fact that he did put that he does inspire a lot of people that are in this type of lifestyle that maybe need some inspiration and some hope. I think that showed that this might be more balanced, but it's still early. We're like 90 seconds into it, so it could go either way. But I'm glad that was put in, because I do think that's true.
It's rare to find an artist who attracts this much love and hate all at the same time. And YoungBoy's thugged out survival anthems for the streets have made him one of the most beloved artists in history. But his influence has a dark side too, because some might say that his aggressive murder anthems are inspiring a generation of lost teenagers to slide and resort to violence just like he had to. But can YoungBoy really be blamed? When basketball player Ja Morant ended up in hot water for flashing a gun in a strip club to YoungBoy's music, many people suggested that this was YoungBoy's fault. And considering just how many lives seem to have been lost as a direct result of YoungBoy's career, whether it's the murder of rival Baton Rouge rapper G Money, to the slaying of YoungBoy's beloved manager Big Dump, or even the killing of Chicago rap legend King Von, seemingly a self-defense shooting, the result of Von trying to fight one of YoungBoy's friends, to say YoungBoy and his NBA crew are dangerous would be an understatement. But is the group of people that YoungBoy surrounds himself a gang of loose cannons shooting first and asking questions later, or are they just really a family of youngsters with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that they would put their lives on the line to protect? Over the course of his career, so many people have died that YoungBoy even refers to himself as the Murder Man, and claiming in numerous songs to have been the direct cause of as many as 7 murders in his hometown. Over the years, many people have questioned the authenticity of YoungBoy's gangster image.
Okay, so yeah, we know that very well, and I remember several rhymes, but I remember several lines of YoungBoy referencing that number, that's 7, and then talking about trying to turn it into 10, and so on and so forth. We've seen this video many times on my channel. This is the Vaughn saying that he thinks YoungBoy is lying in his raps.
You got cap in your raps. YoungBoy talking about on this song, bro.
In spite of all of the violence surrounding his career, in 2022, YoungBoy had a change of heart, perhaps coming the result of reflecting on all of the destruction and pain that had been caused by his music career, or as a result of years of legal battles that have seen YoungBoy endlessly confined to a cell or on house arrest. Because recently, he's been calling to stop the violence, pledging in interviews to stop promoting murder and violence in his songs, and even taking steps to de-escalate the conflict with his most hated rivals in Baton Rouge, with YoungBoy's crew even sharing the stage with their mortal enemy Fredo Bang for a special charity concert aiming to stop the violence. But that said, even these intentions have been called into question, when after pledging to stop the violence, YoungBoy continues to drop violent murder anthems back to back. So, the $50 million question remains unanswered. Is YoungBoy really a gravedigger, the self-proclaimed murder man of Baton Rouge, really serious about stopping the violence? Or is this all just a ploy to try and avoid the responsibility for convincing a generation of teenagers to pick up a gun and get active in the streets? Well, today we're going to take a closer look at the murders, the music, and the man, and decide once and for all, is YoungBoy really as dangerous as they say he is?
Cool. So that was definitely that was like a 4-minute intro. Definitely a teaser. Like, I think he did an effective job. I want to know more. I want to see where he goes with this. But I'm mostly curious, like, how he's going to make that determination. So I'm curious to see like what level of like more in-depth research he's done, or is he just going to kind of be analyzing like the songs and stuff? So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
It's either you're gonna die, you're either gonna be a bum, or you're gonna be successful, or you're gonna go to jail. And the reason I ain't that way, because the scary part, I don't know which one I'm gonna be. But I ain't dumb though, you hear me? And the people who play that role, to y'all, them know I ain't dumb. The people who really know me, they know I ain't dumb, you hear me? How the f I came this far? You think I came this far by being dumb? Come on, man.
Today's story takes place in the state of Louisiana. Louisiana is in the United States' Deep South, a historic region of the US with a dark history. The Deep South has had deep ties to the historic slave trade, with these particular states like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia historically being heavily dependent on the plantation system, which saw black people kidnapped from their native lands in Africa and put to work against their will in cotton fields for the benefit of white Americans. Even after the Confederate States lost the Civil War and slavery was abolished, racism continued to cast a shadow over Louisiana for many years. Attempts were made to restrict free black people from voting, and racist organizations like the White League were formed in Louisiana to terrorize, intimidate, and target the black community there. Eventually, after World War II, in the face of the civil rights movement, black people in Louisiana finally begun to exercise their right to vote. And in 1960, this saw the establishment of groups like the Louisiana State Sovereignty Commission with an aim to battle racial segregation in the state, particularly in schools. During these years of segregation, it's believed that many African Americans fled Louisiana to states like California, seeking better treatment and opportunities. However, analysis by William Frey suggested that in decades that followed, due to better civil rights in Louisiana, many black migrants were actually attracted back to the state. But despite these improvements, however, Louisiana still remained a difficult place to grow up black through the 90s and the noughties. The state's incarceration rates have been at the very top in the world for decades now, and although black people are a minority in the state of Louisiana, the majority of the population in correctional facilities have been black. Louisiana has the second highest poverty rate.
And I feel like, well, I mean, this is something I think a lot of us know, like the disproportionate rate of, you know, black people in prison, in the American prison system. I mean, this is a whole other conversation, so I don't want to go off too much on a tangent. If I see an opportunity to make a comment along the lines of what I think might be appropriate, then I'll wait for that moment. But I don't want to waste too much time here, so let's keep it going.
In America, and here too, black people seem to suffer the worst. Moreover, the devastating events of Hurricane Katrina and subsequent flooding left tens of thousands of Louisiana residents stranded, with those affected being disproportionately African American. And the poor efforts to rescue these black people in danger had many people questioning if the state really even cared about their black citizens.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Now look, you might be wondering, what the hell does all of this have to do with YoungBoy? Well, in my opinion,
I'm curious if, because I know YoungBoy's like a newer artist, not all, but I know a lot of his listening base might be younger people. I'm curious how many of you were around for that. Like, I remember that moment, that Kanye West moment. I'm just curious how many of you guys might have been around and remember that.
It's important to understand the history of where he comes from, to understand the environment that created the man, as well as the inherent challenges of growing up as a young black man in Louisiana. But that said, there's also plenty of positive influences stemming from YoungBoy's Louisiana upbringing. Despite the state's difficult history when it comes to slavery and civil rights, over the years, the state's multiculturalism would become an asset, spawning creative and artistic communities. Louisiana has a long and rich history when it comes to music. In the early 1800s, the influx of enslaved Africans brought with them a diverse array of musical traditions and talents. Musical traditions which merged with the existing French, Spanish, and Native American influences in Louisiana. The fusion of these diverse cultural elements led to the birth of unique musical styles such as Creole music and jazz. And then, during the Civil War, music would play a significant role in both the North and the South. In Louisiana, Confederate songs and abolitionist tunes were composed, reflecting the region's divided sentiments on the issue. Some people wanted slavery to end, and their ops wanted it to continue. And you could probably argue that these might represent some of the earliest examples.
I like that he's using the relevant slang or vernacular here. He said ops. All right.
Their ops wanted it to continue. And you could probably argue that these might represent some of the earliest examples of diss songs, with soldiers on both sides of the Civil War actually playing music that would hype up their troops and boost morale to prepare them for battle. After the Civil War, as time would go on, Louisiana creatives would continue to experiment with music. Blues music is believed to have originated in the Deep South in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The African American communities in New Orleans are credited with pioneering jazz music in the early 1910s. And in the 1950s, more new musical genres emerged, like swamp pop, where young Cajuns and Creoles would combine traditional French Louisiana music with New Orleans-style rhythm and blues and country and western music, as well as the more low-tempo swamp blues originating in the black communities of southwest Louisiana.
Interesting. I don't know that I've ever heard of those genres.
Into the 50s and 60s, the civil rights movement would further impact Louisiana's music scene, as African-American musicians leveraged their talents to amplify the call for racial equality, often using their platforms to shed light on the struggles that they had faced. R&B and soul music, with their origins in gospel and blues, would become vehicles for expressing the aspirations of the African-American community. And then, of course, as hip-hop emerged in the 80s and boomed through the 90s, a whole wave of aspirational southern rappers would emerge from Louisiana's biggest cities. In New Orleans, modern rap was pioneered by Master P and his No Limit clique, later being taken to brave new heights in hip-hop's bling era by the likes of Cash Money Records, headed by Birdman and his prodigy Lil Wayne, who would arguably go on to become one of the greatest rappers of all time and my personal favorite.
I agree with that. As you guys know on my channel, for me, Wayne, top 3.
And while the
all-time dead or alive.
Flashy antics of bling rappers might come across to some as tasteless, others would be inspired by these emerging black role models who were showing the world through artistry that a persecuted black man in the Deep South could become a multi-millionaire and build generational wealth off the back of sharing their lived experience through music. Now, things still aren't perfect, but the success of rap music in the Deep South represents a triumph over repression to me. And I'm telling you all of this because all of this history is very important context. Because the social circumstances that persisted in Louisiana over hundreds of years all led up to a single moment in time, where the perfect circumstances existed to create one of the modern day's most exciting and controversial music artists. People in Louisiana have been using their music to express their pain and tell their perspective on life for hundreds of years. And in the modern day Louisiana, one voice stands out above all others. The voice of a young boy who experienced one of the harshest upbringings modern day Louisiana had to offer. And that young boy was able to put all of his pain, trauma, and triumphs into his music. Modern day music that is still unmistakably Southern. So, now you know the city, let's take a closer look at that young boy, YoungBoy.
Cool, man. You know what? I really do appreciate that he's like going beyond just the specifics of YoungBoy himself, the person. And this is one of those things that will always be debated and continues to be debated. Nature versus nurture, and how much of a role environment plays on a person's outcome. For me personally, I think nurture, being like your environment and the things around you, the way you're brought up, has a huge impact. So knowing the environment and the background and the history and the climate, I think is a really important place to start. I like that he's going this in depth. It's really cool.
YoungBoy was born Kentrell Deshaun Gordon in 1999, and over the years, he's been known by many names. NBA YoungBoy, YoungBoy Never Broke Again, Top, YB, AI YoungBoy, and the list goes on. Now, YoungBoy by no means had it easy as a kid. He grew up on the north side of Baton Rouge, more specifically North 38th Street and Chippewa Street. This led to another nickname that appears frequently in YoungBoy's songs and albums, 38 Baby. In fact, YoungBoy's legendary lyrics about 38th and Chippewa, where he grew up, has even attracted superfans who would film themselves driving down the very streets that YoungBoy would play on as a child. But life on 38th Street was not kind to a young YoungBoy. His father, Jeffrey Staden, wasn't in his life growing up, as he had apparently been sentenced to 55 years in jail when YoungBoy was just 8 years old. This monster sentence was punishment for the armed robbery of a Baton Rouge convenience store on December 1st, 2009. YoungBoy's father, along with 3 other men, one of whom was his brother Dallas, had apparently robbed Albie's convenience store on North Sherwood Forest. The robbery got ugly, and YoungBoy's father shot a store clerk in the leg during this altercation. This would earn him charges of armed robbery and attempted first-degree murder. He would plead not guilty, and after a jury trial, the state would find him guilty as charged on 2 counts, getting himself 10 years for the robbery and 50 years for the attempted murder.
The interesting thing is, as long as I've been doing these videos now, 9 months or something, I knew that he was in prison. I knew that it was for this amount of time, but I'd actually never known like the exact reason why. And I'd gotten comments and stuff like, but that's the first time I'm getting like the detailed story and kind of information on what happened.
Many years later, YoungBoy would even reference his father's incarceration, rapping on the song Cross Me that it was actually his uncle, his father's brother, that was there for the robbery, who snitched and got him 55 years in jail.
Wow.
As well as referencing his father's plight on the song Where the Love At, where he raps that he prays he doesn't become an alcoholic like his father, as well as paying respects and suggesting that his father needs a second chance at life because robbing people for their money was how he was trying to provide for his family. It seemed like both sides of YoungBoy's family had a history of robbery, as his uncle on his mother's side was also an alleged known robber in Baton Rouge. However, unfortunately, he would suffer a worse fate than YoungBoy's father. Andy Golden, the uncle who YoungBoy referenced a couple of times in his music, was apparently shot in the head during a robbery attempt. YoungBoy mentions on the track Acquittal how he heard stories about how his uncle was shot in the head, implying that their relationship was most likely non-existent if YoungBoy had to rely on stories to hear all about his life. As well as in the track R.I.P. Lil Dave, when YoungBoy speaks of his uncle who got shot in the head and died while hitting a lick. Further references to this are heard on the track 38 Baby, when YoungBoy outright declares that Andy Golden was his uncle, which means that robbery is in his genes. I mean, just take a second to think about the situation.
I just want to say 38 Baby, one of my favorite songs. Just saying.
Which means that robbery is in his genes. I mean, just take a second to think about the situation that YoungBoy was dealing with here as a child. His father is serving 55 years for robbery, with one uncle who snitched on him, and his other uncle was also a prolific robber who got shot in the head and killed during a robbery. All this would leave him as a lost child with no father figure who even saw robbery as part of his DNA. That's a heavy situation for an 8-year-old kid to be dealing with. And with no father figure in his life, YoungBoy would have to rely on the females in his family to look after him and make him a man. Despite his mother Sharonda Golden being alive, she apparently wasn't there for YoungBoy as a child at all times. So, he would initially be raised by his loving grandmother Alice Golden, but unfortunately, YoungBoy's grandmother would pass away too, leaving him devastated for years to come. YoungBoy would open up about the loss of his grandmother in a Billboard interview in 2023, calling her his protector. After losing his grandmother, with his father in jail and his mother...
I remember, that was a very interesting moment for me in my journey through YoungBoy, was when he did this Billboard interview. I feel like it was an important moment for me because I think I got a lot out of that interview. I think it's still on my channel. I don't think it's been blocked or anything, but you guys can definitely check that out if you haven't seen that.
After losing his grandmother, with his father in jail and his mother out of the picture, YoungBoy wound up in a group home, and it would be here that he would be subject to physical abuse and bullying. He would later explain in a Billboard interview that it was this experience of being targeted in the group home that led him to cultivate his own dark and violent side for protection. Clearly, YoungBoy had to fight for survival as a child. In fact, he actually broke his neck whilst he was wrestling as a toddler. This was a serious injury which required him to wear a full neck and head brace whilst his spine healed. This was a corrective procedure which left him with the 3 iconic head scars that he has on his head to this day, an everyday reminder on his face of just one painful incident that he endured as a child, and something his enemies are still quick to use against him, with the hurtful moniker Denthead often being levied against him. YoungBoy had gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, it's unsurprising that he would grow up dealing with a lot of pain. But even outside of the tragedies in his own family, YoungBoy would also suffer losses outside the home. When he was just age 10, he would end up losing one of his closest childhood friends to gun violence. As a child, YoungBoy was friends with another boy who was around 6 years older than him, a boy by the name of David Cobb, aka Lil Dave. On March the 27th, 2010, a memorial picnic was being held at a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was intended to honour the memory of local teens who had lost their lives to gun violence. But unfortunately, the very thing that this event was intending to shed a light on would end up happening that same day. Because at some point, a fight broke out and bullets started flying. One of those bullets hit 16-year-old David Cobb in the spine, and despite there being hundreds of witnesses, this case would ultimately go on unsolved, partly due to a fear in the community of retaliation against those who would be seen as a snitch for speaking to law enforcement. As a result, the family of Lil Dave would be left grieving without closure, heartbroken that their child lost his life at an event that was intended to honour teens losing their lives to gun violence. And it wasn't just Dave's family who were devastated by this loss. YoungBoy himself would be distraught and traumatised by losing a friend to gun violence so young. He would go on to rap about the loss of Lil Dave and the effect that it had on him years later. YoungBoy would rap on the song For Keeps with Rich the Kid that Dave was killed by a chopper or machine gun and that he wishes he could call him. Also, on the aptly named song Homicide, YoungBoy expresses his desire to get revenge and kill the person who took Dave's life, as well as saying that he knows Lil Dave is still with him on the song Poor One. On the song Cage Feeling, YoungBoy speaks about the death of Lil Dave, saying that this loss turned his heart cold and made him become a killer. The fact that YoungBoy was no stranger to loss of friends and family at such a young age just goes to show you the kind of environment he was growing up in, and the factors that coerced him into the kind of lifestyle he would go on to live. But YoungBoy was already being influenced by the streets. He would actually later rap in the song Life that Lil Dave was the person who taught him how to smoke, shoot dice, and get money for sneakers. He also said that he felt life began getting crazy for him when Lil Dave was killed. In the song Better Man, YoungBoy would claim to be tormented by the image of Lil Dave's murder in his mind. And on the track How I'm Living, he would vow to make the people responsible bleed for what they did to Dave. Later on the...
I just want to say, like, at that age, you don't have... at any age, it's hard to lose somebody that's close to you. But I think at that age, you don't have the tools to fully grasp and understand the situation. And that's what I think might lead to somebody hardening like that to protect themselves from that type of feeling. But again, one of my best friends was killed. He was stabbed, and I was 17. He was 17. He might have been No, he was 17. He was a little older, but he hadn't turned 18 yet, I think. And it's at 17, it was really hard for me to deal with. I think YoungBoy was even younger than that when this happened, because I think Lil Dave was a little older than him. But I'm not sure. Maybe he'll talk about that in a second. But like, you don't have the tools to understand or grasp what's happened, and I like me maybe even more so than YoungBoy getting blindsided by it, because I didn't live in an environment that was a thing that would happen. Like, that was a really shocking thing. He's grown up in like a difficult neighborhood and a difficult situation, so maybe more of this was happening around, but finally to somebody that he personally knew and was close to. It's just a super traumatizing moment.
He would vow to make the people responsible bleed for what they did to Dave. Later on the unreleased track Hold 13, that appeared only in a trailer for his hit album Top, YoungBoy would rap a lyric which some believe is him actually confessing that when he made his first $20,000, he spent it on a hitman to get revenge on Lil Dave's killer. With this traumatic and personal loss, combined with his family's reputation when it came to robberies, it's no surprise then that as a young teenager, YoungBoy dropped out of school in the 9th grade and got heavily involved in the streets, becoming a teenage robber just like his father and uncle. YoungBoy would later tell DJ Smalls Eyes in an interview that after his grandmother died, he started robbing himself and ultimately wound up in jail for a robbery at just age 14.
I grew up stealing, taking from people. And like, well, at first, my grandma used to take care of me. And when my grandma died, it started catching my attention at a younger age. See, I got booked for robbery at my age 14.
Ultimately, YoungBoy found himself in a
And I mean, he looks so young in that interview as well. I haven't seen this interview, but he looks so young here.
14.
Ultimately, YoungBoy found himself in a youth detention center for this robbery. But perhaps this would be a blessing in disguise, as while he was incarcerated, he would claim to have found his purpose in life, beginning to write music and using that as a way to express himself and cope with the pains of life, vowing to become an artist rather than a criminal.
I ain't gonna say it was the best thing that happened to me. It helped me know my purpose. It helped me know what I want to do. Within them 6 months, I wrote at least like 25 songs with no beats. It was basically what I was going through, how I was feeling. It helped me learn how to express myself.
YoungBoy's family were actually always interested in music. YoungBoy claimed to have written his own obscene rap lyrics in the 4th grade, and he had apparently been taken to the studio by his mother, who herself was also an aspiring rapper. And his father had even written to him from jail, telling him that he had been writing music during his 55-year sentence, and encouraging YoungBoy to focus on music too. So, upon his release from jail for robbery, YoungBoy would return to 38th Street with little more than just a dream of becoming a rapper, along with a lifetime of trauma. And before he could get anywhere with his rap career, he would at least need a stable environment to live in. Luckily, he ended up finding a new place in the neighborhood to call home, with YoungBoy rapping on the song Life that he met his friend 33 riding his bike down Chippewa, and that 33's mother accepted him into their home like family. According to 33, him and YoungBoy are essentially brothers, as the two grew up with the same mother, Monique. But Monique is really 33's biological mother, as we know that YoungBoy is the biological son of Sharonda Golden. But due to the fact that 33's mother Monique helped raise YoungBoy, he often refers to her as his mother as well, which would make 33 his adopted brother, and the two do seem to have a relationship that is stronger than most real brothers. And because of this, the two basically just say they're real brothers.
You said you knew him since you were 4?
Since when?
Because you guys are brothers, and you were born around each other, so it's like you don't have any memories of not knowing them.
No, it's like you know how both our dad is split up, you know what I'm saying? So we got the same mamas. It's
Okay.
like, man, really, I started making music with my brother. Just really inspired me to go in the booth, because it really wasn't about me. It was really about YoungBoy, and I was pushing him. And one day he just told me, man, look, come do this with me. And he pushed me to go in the booth, and I just took a liking into it, and that's where it really started from. So shout out YB.
Meanwhile, YoungBoy's relationship with his own biological mother Sharonda was up and down during his childhood. Years down the line, he would open up about this on the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI YoungBoy 2, when he says that even though he called 33's mother Monique his adopted mother, he still needs Sharonda in his life.
Lonely Child, one of my favorite YoungBoy songs as well.
Perhaps due to the lack of a real father figure growing up, meant that he had to rely on both of his mothers for emotional and mental support. But anyway, after getting out of juvenile and finding a new safe space to call home, YoungBoy's new spiritual brother 33 would be supportive of his aspirations as a rapper, and together this brotherly duo would get back to finessing on the streets to pay for studio time, eventually with YoungBoy getting enough recording time in to produce a full-length musical project. And by April 10th, 2015, YoungBoy had released his first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame. This tape featured tracks like Homicide and Range Rover, which showed a 15-year-old YoungBoy truly had the skills to pay the bills early on. The album begins with an intro where YoungBoy mentions an affiliate of his named D-Dog catching a body. This sets the mood for the rest of the album, letting fans know straight away that YoungBoy had ties with the streets, despite the fact that he was technically still a child at this point. And in the same song, he gives us an insight into his torturous relationships and the reason behind why he finds it so hard to remain faithful to his partners, even at age 15. In the song I Know, YoungBoy begins to paint a menacing picture of his position in the local gang hierarchy, mentioning on 2 occasions how he can rely on another known NBA affiliate by the name of Lil Pap to go get him. A brash statement which shows that even at age 15, YoungBoy was really in the streets, with people around him that he could send to do dirty work. YoungBoy would also share his experience with Get Back and Vengeance in this project. On the track Deal With It, he talks about how revenge was exacted on the person who killed his uncle, saying that they spotted the person who killed his uncle and that YoungBoy witnessed somebody put that person in a casket, and going on to say that the deceased man's brother is now after him. This is an important lyric, as it shows that even back when he was just 15 years old, people were dying around YoungBoy, being killed, and he was becoming a target himself, despite not being directly responsible for the violence that had played out.
Bro, at 15, that's crazy, man. Man, that's crazy.
Becoming a target himself, despite not being directly responsible for the violence that had played out. Elsewhere on this song, YoungBoy pledges his allegiance to a group called TBG, or Top Boy Gorilla. This is the first crew or record label that YoungBoy aligned himself with when he became a rapper, though unfortunately, as is often the case in the streets, over time, as YoungBoy's star rose, tension would brew between the members of TBG, arguing over who the next big rapper from the group would be, and eventually, what begun as a partnership would devolve into a deadly beef, with members of TBG picking their sides, and the feud escalating into an all-out gang war, with people being murdered on both sides, and years of heartbreak playing out on the streets and in the music.
Now, this story we know fairly well. We've covered quite a bit of stuff on this, so this will be a nice refresher on that.
When YoungBoy left juvenile detention, inspired to become a rapper rather than a robber, it wouldn't take long for others to see the potential that this teenage rap prodigy had. From here, a group of people from his neighborhood, with ties to the music industry as well as the streets, would begin to take him under their wing. YoungBoy's first mixtape, Life Before Fame, was actually released under the banner of TBG, with YoungBoy and 33 being seen in throwback pictures rocking TBG merch. TBG stands for Top Boy Gorilla, a crew with a storied history in the wild and dangerous streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. TBG was supposedly started by deceased Louisiana native and affiliate of rap veteran Boosie, Little Ivy Smith. He would turn out to be the uncle of future TBG rap prospect Lit Yoshi, but more on him later. Now, Lil Ivy was sadly killed in an unsolved triple homicide back in 2005. However, at this early stage in the game, YoungBoy was nothing more than a promising young prospect to these Baton Rouge rap OGs. The older members of TBG were looking to find the next up-and-coming rap rookie who could potentially be the next homegrown rap star to come out of Baton Rouge. And at the time, the real crown jewels of the TBG squad were a couple of rappers known as G Money and Fredo Bang, who around the time were picking up steam with their song.
Look at Fredo Bang and how young he looks. Man. Time changes things, man.
iPhone 6 alongside Boulevard Mel and YMM Captain. You can tell that YoungBoy was truly close with the TBG crew at this point because YoungBoy even appeared in the background of the iPhone 6 music video, at one point handing a Gucci bag to Fredo Bang, a moment that would honestly be inconceivable in what would later become a deadly and bitter beef. As the story goes, the TBG crew had ties to Baton Rouge's criminal underworld, and rappers and affiliates of the TBG crew were still involved in the local drug trade. Unfortunately, soon some of this street beef would end up souring things on the music side, because the TBG crew supposedly had a beef going with another Baton Rouge crew called BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas. Gang, crew, clique, record label, call them whatever you want, but BBG and TBG were bitter enemies, with a big rumour at one point going around that YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla, who was affiliated with BBG, ended up in a bitter disagreement with G Money from TBG. Now, there's been intense speculation over the years as to what was the exact cause of this beef. Some have suggested that Boozilla ran off with money or drugs from G Money, whilst others suggest that the whole drama was actually over a woman. Another explanation even suggests that it was actually YoungBoy himself who stole money from G Money, but actually blamed the finesse on his cousin Boozilla, as Boozilla was seen on Twitter disavowing his own family at one point, and G Money seemingly indicating that this rumor was true on his diss track Industry, where he claimed that YoungBoy had him looking for Boozilla with a gun, and saying that Boozilla actually wanted to kill YoungBoy over this whole situation. There's even an old clip circulating that showed Boozilla and BBG affiliate Baby Joe seemingly posted up with guns looking for YoungBoy and saying F NBA.
What up, Baby Joe? Pull that bitch up.
This was unusual because previously Boozilla had claimed to be a member of the group NBA and even at one point referred to himself as NBA Boosie. Now, I'll explain to you what NBA means in a minute, but just bear with me. Because
this is what's tough about this stuff, right? Because I was talking about this not long ago. Like, when situations like this happen and there's two sides to a story, there's people who know what actually happened. But the back and forth and the story going around, it's like a game of telephone, right? Like, the story changes a little bit as it passes hands and gets told to the next person. And all of a sudden, everything kind of gets convoluted and like murky and gray. But there's people who know what actually happened. For sure. For sure, there's people who know what actually happened. Whether we will ever actually know like the truth when it comes to the specifics of things like this, probably doubtful.
Because meanwhile, as that personal beef was developing, another more professional beef was emerging between YoungBoy and the TBG crew. According to some, at a certain point YoungBoy got frustrated with the TBG label. This was likely due to the fact that he wasn't necessarily getting the money or shine that he thought he deserved from the crew, with their main focus being on building the careers of G Money and Fredo Bang rather than investing in YoungBoy. So at some point, YoungBoy and 33 would leave TBG, starting their own crew. Initially, 33 and YoungBoy wanted a group based on YoungBoy's initials, Kentrell Golden, or KG. Since KG also means kilograms, the initial idea was to call their crew Weight Gang, another reference to the drug game.
At first his name was like KG, but then we got like, that's where the Weight Gang come from. But
what did KG stand for?
Like his initials. That's his name.
Right.
But Weight Gang was one of the first things he had came up with.
But clearly that name wasn't really hitting the spot. So later on, a few of the members of this crew were just chilling, sitting on their porch, when YoungBoy apparently vowed that he was not trying to go broke no more, to which other members of the crew agreed the same thing, with this pledge giving the crew inspiration to name themselves Never Broke Again, or NBA.
Like when we was on the porch one day, it was like, we ain't trying to go broke no more. And then he was like, I ain't trying to go broke neither, so we never broke again. Like, you know what I'm saying? From day one, that's where NBA started from. Like,
so
that's pretty dope too. Like, I like that story. I feel like sometimes, like, you know, when they described that they were like trying to come up with something and they came up with things and they're like, nah, that's not really it. I don't like the way that sounds. And then on a moment where they maybe weren't trying to come up with something, but they were just talking and shooting the shit and like hanging out on this porch, that's where the idea sparks. And I think it's funny how things happen like that sometimes versus like forcing it. Sometimes forcing is just not going to do it. It just kind of has to happen.
The NBA crew was born, naturally taking some inspiration from the National Basketball Association. They would even make their logo the Jumpman, the iconic logo affiliated with basketball legend Michael Jordan dunking a basketball. But for Never Broke Again, their version would be a man jumping up in the air holding a pistol. YoungBoy's NBA crew wanted to go from pistol-toting stick-up kids to music industry heavy hitters being paid as much as professional basketball players. Now, whether or not you like the name, there was no denying that the meaning behind it was powerful. And together, the Never Broke Again crew rallied around YoungBoy, vowing to do whatever it took to take him to the top and make sure that they as a group never go broke again. So before we dive any deeper into the goings-on of the Never Broke Again crew, let's just take a quick look at some of the main members of that collective so that you can follow everything that's about to go down in this long and complicated story.
NBA, Never
YoungBoy
Broke
is
Again.
of course the face of Never Broke Again, the NBA collective. He is the label's leading rapper. And this crew's bet on getting behind YoungBoy's career would ultimately end up paying off handsomely. And with his crew's support, he would go on to become one of the biggest artists in the entire world. Then there's OG33, NBA's co-founder, who started the group along with YoungBoy and Montana.
I started NBA, you know, like, it was then like YoungBoy just was really like the main one who was rapping. Like, I don't really take rapping serious, cause like YoungBoy really made me rap.
After 33's mother took YoungBoy in as one of her own, they would build a bond as strong as blood brothers.
We got the same mamas. It's like that.
OG33 is one of 10 children, 5 kids from his mother's side, 5 from his father's side. But he's the oldest of all of them, which has led to him having a mature outlook and a real head on his shoulders, as he's almost had to act like a father figure for YoungBoy and his other siblings.
And there's 10 kids altogether, right?
Yeah.
5 from your mom and 5 from your dad.
Yeah. On both sides, I'm close with all my brothers and sisters, cause I'm the oldest. So it's just like
You're almost like a father figure
yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of responsibility?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, but you know, that's just my role. So it's just, I took on my role.
Respect.
When YoungBoy didn't really want to rap at first, it was 33 that pushed him and made sure that he stuck with it, dedicating his life to elevating YoungBoy's career and keeping him on the right path.
I always was the one that always pushed him, like, cause he didn't really want rap at first, but then like once I really found out like he was gonna be that, like I pushed him even more harder. Like I was getting a thought, like I went back to like record companies was doing, like I was getting 1,000 CDs printed up. Like man, I didn't got them 1,000 CDs and really passed them out like just the man of minutes, like this that.
It's 3 who pulls the strings and make the moves behind the scenes, keeping the ship sailing smoothly and ensuring that the NBA collective runs efficiently and profitably.
That's cool, man. Like, I think that story to me means a lot, because having somebody that believes in you and will grind and work hard for you like that is super, super dope.
Apparently would manage the business side of things, sometimes writing contracts or putting shows together.
I was more on the business and management, like writing contracts and, you know, putting shows together for them. Like, when we first started off, I was doing really everything, you know.
And YoungBoy apparently even inspired OG3 to start making his own music, because before, 3 was just mainly focused on pushing YoungBoy's career.
If it wasn't for YB walking me into the booth, I wouldn't even be in the music, because I was just mainly pushing him. It wasn't even about me.
Now, 33 does enjoy rapping, but he's also a self-proclaimed CEO, and business is apparently where his passion lies.
My main focus is it wouldn't be a career. I wouldn't choose rap as a career, because I am a CEO and I love my position.
But 3 has also gained a cult following of his own from being the head honcho of the NBA crew. And considering the dark reputation that has followed YoungBoy over the many deadly years of his career, this has led to many internet fanboys speculating on whether OG3 is the true mastermind behind the violence playing out in Baton Rouge. With many Reddit posts circulating, constantly speculating on how many deaths that 33 might be responsible for, even sometimes referring to him as the Grim Threeper. But it's unclear if that is just straight trolling.
I didn't know that.
Even sometimes referring to him as the Grim Threeper. But it's unclear if that is just straight trolling. Because in reality, OG3 has always tried to look out and take care of YoungBoy and keep him on the straight and narrow, acting as the voice of reason in his life.
And that's my baby brother. I always look out for him. I always take care of him. But like I don't ever expect him to do nothing bad, but he don't do it intentionally. It might be on accident, but I always talk to him and enforce that like we shouldn't be doing a lot of things, and you know he listens. So it's like I always was that type of person. I always was that.
Kind of like the voice of reason for when he gets a little hot-headed. You're like, so that help calm him down. Because he probably listen to you, and he ain't trying to listen to a lot of random people.
Yeah, he ain't gonna listen to nobody. If it ain't me.
Then you've got Montana. According to a Billboard article profiling YoungBoy, Kyle Montana Clybourne found YoungBoy's music early on YouTube, and in the absence of a father figure or any real older male role model in his family, it seems like Montana assumed a kind of father figure role for YoungBoy in the early stages of his life and career, giving him guidance on how to survive the gritty streets of North Baton Rouge. In fact, in the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI YoungBoy 2, YoungBoy admits that he has been missing his father, and as a result, he actually calls Montana his father. Montana would help co-found the Never Broke Again label along with YoungBoy and 33, with interviews explaining that in the early days of NBA, YoungBoy would be sleeping on an air mattress at Montana's house. At a time when Montana played the role of manager, booking agent, and financier, driving YoungBoy all around the South to perform for between $500 and $1,500 a show to build his fan base in the early days.
Wow.
However, there's always been confusion over exactly who YoungBoy's manager specifically is, and to be fair, it has changed over the years. For a period of time, YoungBoy's manager was a man by the name of Big Dump. Sometimes referred to as YoungBoy's manager or agent, it was Dump who was there for YoungBoy during the most turbulent years of his come-up. But Dump would ultimately end up losing his life in 2018, seemingly as a direct result of the deadly street beef between these two warring Baton Rouge gang sets. But we'll go much deeper into that situation later on in the story. Another person who played a significant role on the management side is someone called Feud, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped...
I'm not sure if I've come across this person yet. I hear my family's back home, so... yeah, according to the time, I got about 15 minutes left, so let's keep it rolling. And then I promise that the next parts I'll do more, at a time.
Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. These people are the brains and administrators behind the NBA empire. And then, when it comes to the rapping side, we have a number of NBA members with a much closer proximity to the streets. Now, there's a lot of names that have been affiliated with this crew over the years, and this list is by no means a definitive list of everyone who has had something to do with NBA as a crew, so don't be offended if you got left off. But these are just some of the people who have played a major role in YoungBoy's crew and who play a relevant role in today's story. I'm talking about people like NBA Ben 10. This is OG3's younger blood cousin and a day one NBA affiliate. Ben met YoungBoy at 3's house, and apparently the two had a fight the first time that they met.
Man, 3 first cousins, blood. Like, we used to stay together. His mom and mom used to live together, so that's how I met 3. And I met that day at 3 house. I met that. We had a fight the same day, you heard me?
But apparently after this fight, they would share a blunt and become good friends, going on to make money and catch cases together since they were just 12 years old.
We spoke the blunt, you heard me?
That's the way it should be.
The NBA the same day, just like that.
How old y'all was like around that time?
I'd say probably finna turn 12 or 12.
Ben has been a key part of the collective since day one, with a huge presence on social media, particularly Instagram, where he would give exclusive insights and snippets into the world of Never Broke Again. 10 still posts regularly on Instagram despite his original account having been taken down, and he's even seen some recent success in his own right as a rapper, with songs such as Pain and Walking Dead amassing over 1 million views each. But he's also a loose cannon and not somebody to be messed with. He was seen on IG Live with YoungBoy, Baby Joe, and other NBA members playing with guns, with Ben 10 letting off shots on IG Live, causing Baby Joe to duck for cover. BBG Baby Joe is another one of YoungBoy's cousins, who despite his young age, has lived through a lot, including a bullet to the face.
You know, you guys were on the freeway. I think it was you and 2 friends, and a car opened fire on you guys.
We were leaving Walmart. Everybody had went and got some cake and ice cream for my baby for his birthday. When I walk out Walmart, I see this shit. And then I ain't get shot on the interstate. I don't know where people get their information from. I was trying to was at the light, and then it just went like that. You hear me?
Despite facing...
Man, the part that trips me out is that it's so regular that they can talk about it just so casually. Like, if I got shot and I was ever talking about the fact that I got shot, it would be a big deal every time I talk about it. That's all I'm saying. Like, they're just so casually like, I was leaving Walmart. People think it happened on the highway. It didn't really happen on the highway. It actually happened at a traffic light. It's like, it's almost irrelevant where it happened. It's like, bro, you got shot. Like, why are you so chill about it? Anyways, I think it's just more normal for, them, I guess, which is crazy. But
serious danger in the streets, Baby Joe has been aiming to make a name for himself in the music industry and make himself some legitimate money. His 2018 song, Iraq, has over 5 million views, and as a beloved member of the NBA crew, Joe's name often pops up in YoungBoy's songs. And if these lyrics are anything to go by, it seems that Joe's relationship with the streets remains strong. Another key member of the crew is Meechie Baby. Well known as YoungBoy's raspy-voiced big cousin, he's best known for his early 2000s style song Cutlass, as well as his 2020 track with YoungBoy, Talk My... a track which has amassed an impressive 47 million views at the time of recording. YoungBoy has talked about hitting licks and doing burglaries with his older cousin Meechie on numerous occasions in his lyrics, leading some listeners to think that it was perhaps Meechie who had influenced YoungBoy's involvement with the streets in his early life. Then of course you have Big B, who picked up a lot of attention for his fire verse on the NBA posse cut, That Gang, which picked up over 5 million views and also featured 3-3 and KD. Big B exhibits a more conventional rapping style compared to some other members of the NBA crew, with less laid-back melodies and catchy hooks, and more hard-hitting bars and punchy refrains delivered with aggressiveness and energy on the mic. There's NBA KD.
Interesting, I'd like to check that out.
He's known musically for his versatility and distinct flow, as well as a standout performance on the song That Gang. He also popped up with a verse on the song Extortion with Big B and 3-3, a track which got over 2 million views. His biggest solo track is the 2018 song When I Wake Up, and KD showed a lot of promise and potential in the early years of rap. Unfortunately, his momentum was derailed by a life-changing injury getting shot in 2019. Reportedly, after this incident, KD was confined to a wheelchair. However, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether he was walking again after a period of rehabilitation. Whilst that's not been confirmed, since the incident, he has remained firmly behind the scenes, but is a beloved member of NBA. Another major member of the crew is Herm the Black Sheep. Musically, fans appreciate Herm for his real and authentic lyrics and subject matter rather than his style or flow on the mic. And if the content of his lyrics are to be believed, he is certainly not one to be messed with. In the same vein, there's also Who Gang D, aka Lil D, or Scully. This is another cousin of YoungBoy with a serious reputation in the streets and his own budding rap career, with his catchy double-meaning titled song, Can't Go to Sleep, running up 1.6 million views at the time of this writing. Interestingly though, D wasn't even aware that he was YoungBoy's cousin when they first became friends, apparently only finding out later through his mother and grandfather.
I didn't know he was my cousin at first.
Oh, really?
See, I was thugging with 3
at
first. And then my mama had texted me like, when I was with him for a whole month straight, with YB for a month, she had texted me, she was like, she talked to my papa, and he told her that I had a cousin named NBA YoungBoy that rap. You get what I'm saying? And she was like, for real, that's crazy, he already be hanging with him.
He is apparently the survivor of a gunshot wound to the neck, with YoungBoy having dropped numerous lyrics complimenting D as a reliable shooter, even going as far in the song Bring the Hook to label him a headshot specialist. This is a skill that D
Bring the Hook. That song's crazy.
himself all but admitted in his Off the Porch interview.
How'd you get the nickname Scully?
From this tattoo, I'm just saying like that. The gun, shooting the score. Scully.
He's got a promising rap career, a likable personality, and
what I found funny about that is, I mean, it's a very serious thing, but what I found funny about that is he's like, from this tattoo, and then he did proceed to like explain it as well. But yeah,
big potential to be a star on the mic if he can stay out of trouble. You've also got Lil Pap, Ben 10's little brother and a known shooter for the NBA crew in the streets. YoungBoy has mentioned him as being active in the streets in numerous songs, labeling him specifically as somebody who YoungBoy can call on for certain favors. And he recently got 5 years for his apparent involvement in the murder of TBG rival rapper G Money, which we will discuss in detail shortly. There's also NBA Chopper Boy, a big man with a big range in his vocals, bringing a great singing voice to the mic that serves to provide a canvas for his dark and menacing lyrics. Then you've got Barber, one of YoungBoy's frequently referenced shooters. Like Pap,
wow, there's a lot of people.
Barber, or Baba Osama, is mentioned quite a bit in some of YoungBoy's most violent songs, with YoungBoy even rapping on the track Carter's Son that he calls up Barber to get the guns and go and rob people for him. Now, Barber has a pretty extensive rap sheet demonstrating just how active he was in the streets, and he's currently locked up on murder charges. But these aren't your average murder charges. It's actually been reported that Baba Osama is facing a whopping 9 counts of murder, with some recent posts on social media even suggesting that Baba Osama was actively working as a gang assassin or hitman, engaging in murder for hire for numerous gangs. Now that's not necessarily everybody that's been involved with YoungBoy's NBA crew over the years, but they are the people that we'll be talking about most extensively in today's story. Clearly, YoungBoy's NBA crew are a group of young men coming out of some of the most difficult streets that the Deep South has to offer. Clearly, some of these guys aren't afraid to break the law and even kill to protect what's theirs. Whether that's their own lives, the lives of those around them, or the life of their top breadwinner, YoungBoy. The NBA crew are truly willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that they indeed never go broke again. However, there's been a lot of confusion over the years, because as well as NBA, there's another group that YoungBoy and other NBA members shout out a lot, and that's 4K Trey, or 4KT. It would appear that while YoungBoy started his record label in the name NBA, or Never Broke Again, his affiliations to actual gangs in the streets of Baton Rouge goes by another name. YoungBoy has dropped numerous lyrics where he claims to be a member of the gang 4K Trey, who sometimes refer to themselves as Slimes. He's also made numerous references to being in America's infamous Blood Gang. Now, slime is a decades-old term that has been associated over the years with Blood Gang members. This term was initially brought to the public's attention by Blood rapper Vado, who released numerous projects that would reference slime, with the usage of the Blood slang slime and slat being popularized in mainstream modern rap music by Atlanta Blood rapper Young Thug, who is currently incarcerated awaiting trial for gang-affiliated charges. Now, this slime ideology essentially sees Blood members identifying under the color green rather than the traditional red bandana that Blood members are known to wear. And as YoungBoy got further into the music industry, he would seemingly build close relationships with other rappers who were known to affiliate with the Blood Gang or identified as slime. People like Birdman, 21 Savage, and Young Thug himself. And as the years went by, YoungBoy would increasingly use his lyrics and music videos to shout out his affiliations to 4K Trey, the Blood Gang, or Slimes.
I definitely didn't know, I know the gang, I know that stuff, but like I definitely didn't know the details of the connection. So I feel I'm pretty happy with this so far. Like I feel like I'm learning a lot by actually watching this. So I think I'm finding this like really helpful for me.
Even naming his Never Broke Again label compilation album Green Flag Activity, along with him and his crew frequently being seen in public with nothing but slime green bandanas and blue clothing. They would also sometimes refer to each other as Fours for 4K Trey. However, for the specific explanation of the gang's name 4K Trey, this has been a mystery that has sparked debate amongst NBA fans for years. One popular theory is that it simply means 4 Kentrell, and that his 4KT gang are killing or shooting specifically for YoungBoy, or Kentrell. Another popular theory claims that 4KT actually stands for Forever Killing Them, a more general rallying cry against their ops. Other people think that 4KT actually relates to the names of YoungBoy's first children, with the first 4 of their names beginning with K and 1 beginning with T, with this being a more vanilla interpretation of the gang's name, suggesting that 4KT is a way of YoungBoy saying that he's essentially doing what he does for his children, whose initials are K and T. Another explanation circulates, suggesting that 4KT actually means 4 Crazy Trey. This is a reference to Crazy Trey, a young man from Baton Rouge who was gunned down at a party in 2014. He was apparently close friends with one of YoungBoy's biggest enemies from Baton Rouge, Fredo Bang, a detail which has led many to suggest that this actually couldn't possibly be the true meaning of 4K Trey, with some outright denying this explanation, suggesting that YoungBoy had not even yet associated with Fredo Bang at the time 4KT was founded. There's yet another theory that 4KT actually refers to YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla, who was killed in 2016, as his real name was Keandre, with a suggestion that 4K Trey actually was originally 4K Dre, or Keandre, but the Dre over time ended up being changed to Trey. Now look, at this stage, it's unclear exactly what 4K Trey stands for, but in the end, perhaps we aren't supposed to know the real meaning. And the idea that the true origins of this gang that YoungBoy supposedly affiliates with being shrouded in secrecy kind of makes perfect sense.
I'm trying to think, did I know that Boozilla died? I think so. It's hard to keep up. It's crazy how much stuff happens and everything that's involved, you know? So like sometimes I do feel a little bit lost, which is why I was actually pretty excited to do this, because I think it helps me solidify some stuff.
After all, YoungBoy's artist Quando Rondo would even say in his song Way Up that he actually threw a girl out just for even asking what 4K Trey meant. Clearly it's a secret, and clearly I'm not supposed to know, which means you are definitely not supposed to know. But now you know the city, the gangs, the label, and the people behind the music, let's take a closer look at the story, the incredible ups, the devastating downs, and the lessons to be learned from YoungBoy's one-of-a-kind career and life journey.
Okay, so I was thinking as I was getting to this point, we're like 45 minutes in to this 6-hour documentary, but I was thinking like, I don't know if I want to release 6 parts. I think what I'll do is I'll just like stop the recording here, and then I'll start another recording and kind of just edit them together, and maybe do it in like 2 or 3 parts. So make them like 2 hours each, maybe do it 3 parts. Yeah, maybe that makes sense, because we're at about an hour now. So now I'll record another hour, or maybe a little over an hour, see where I get to. And then maybe I'll do 3 parts of 2 hours. I think that makes sense. There's less videos. I don't want to put out so many videos. Plus, I'm not even sure how well this is going to go because I saw a lot of other people watch it and put summaries. But I feel like a reaction is kind of like you're watching me react as I'm watching it. So I want to make sure you guys get to see that, even if sometimes I'm just staring at the screen. But that's my reaction. So anyways, who knows? Who knows what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. But I think that's the plan. We'll do it in 3 parts. I'll try to make each part around 2 hours, a little over 2 hours long. Cool. I'll be back very shortly. And we're back. I'm only doing this cut thing where I explained that I'm cutting like more significantly than I need to because it's new on my channel. My channel's always been like no cuts, just record and go. But I want to not have to break up things so much, so we're trying something new. This is exactly where I left off, maybe like 1 second off. So let's go.
After falling out with his old label and crew, TBG or Top Boy Gorillas, YoungBoy and his brother from another mother, OG3, would start their new crew, NBA, vowing to make it in the rap game and never go broke again.
From day one, that's where NBA started from, like, me and him sitting on that porch, like, really saying we wasn't trying to go broke no more.
The formation of his new NBA crew was announced with a bang when YoungBoy dropped his earliest surviving music video, the aptly titled NBA, on his own YouTube channel. That video saw YoungBoy and 3-3 surrounded by their NBA muscle all around 38th Street with all type of firearms.
Is that video still on his channel? I'd be curious to check that out. First one.
The song itself came with lyrics where YoungBoy shouted out his shooter, NBA Pap, rapping that he sends Pap to go and hit people up, as well as shouting out another shooter as NBA Connor with the Mac 11, going on to describe his NBA shooters as being as proficient with firearms as Navy SEALs. He would also rap about the cops and his ops in the city trying to hunt him down, and naming NBA outright as the gang that he represents. YoungBoy's first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame, was launched under the TBG banner, the label Top Boy Gorillas, with their logo visible on the bottom left of the cover art. But by December 1st, 2015, YoungBoy was going at it alone under his new NBA banner, with a fresh mixtape, Mind of a Menace, being released fully independently and presented under the banner of his own NBA crew. And it would appear that YoungBoy and NBA were using this project as an opportunity to drop sneak disses and disrespect towards their former crew, TBG. On the project, he would drop several lines that were directed towards TBG, suggesting that they envied him and that he wasn't willing to work under somebody else's administration. YoungBoy was beginning to build momentum independently of his former crew, and he'd keep his foot on the gas into 2016, following up his second mixtape with Speed. On April the 1st, 2016, only 4 months after Mind of a Menace dropped, YoungBoy blessed his budding fanbase with a sequel.
And I mean, like, the work ethic that I think we know YoungBoy for at this point, right? Like early on, like 4 months apart, he's dropping another project, and we know what he did in 1 year, but it's cool to see that like right off the beginning, right?
Mind of a Menace 2. And on this project, he continued to drop shade on his former crew TBG. In the intro for this tape, he suggests that they didn't live up to their promises and says that he's ready to go to war with his former allies. Then in the song A Lot of Miles, YoungBoy explains that rather than switching on TBG like some say he did, he actually claims to have just gotten smarter and that he hasn't really changed at all. Perhaps indicating that he felt he got smart to what was going on and realised that his career would benefit more as a free agent. YoungBoy would seemingly indicate his team's readiness to go to war with their former crew. On the track Fact, rapping that he's riding around with Pap, OG3 and Guns, looking for their ops and aiming to make their guns go boom when they see them. Around this time, it seems clear that YoungBoy formed his winning strategy of flooding the internet with music through frequent mixtape releases. Less than 3 months after Mind of a Menace 2, YoungBoy would drop yet another mixtape, Before I Go, which was released on June the 27th, 2016. And
it's something to keep in mind. Louisiana artists, one of the biggest artists to ever come out of Louisiana, Lil Wayne, kind of set the blueprint for that, right? Like if you go back to like 2006, it was either 2006 or 2007. I think it was just the summer right before the Carter 3 dropped, whenever that was. And in that 1 year, he released, I don't even know how many mixtapes, but I listened to every single one. And when he drops Carter 3, it sells, it goes platinum in 1 week or something like that. So, he's following in the footsteps of Louisiana Giant here by doing this.
On this project, YoungBoy would begin to drop hints alluding to the ongoing beef with G Money, the star rapper of his former crew TBG, Top Boy Gorillas. YoungBoy would also be shooting more threats to his former crew on the song Change, saying YoungBoy not TBG, and if someone plays, he's gonna get it. And another lyric on the song Change seemed to acknowledge a rumor that G-Money had actually hooked up with YoungBoy's sister, with YoungBoy saying he won't speak on sleeping with my sister, something that perhaps wasn't public knowledge at the time of this song's release. But around a year later, G-Money would openly admit and kind of brag about hooking up with YoungBoy's sister in a Say Cheese interview.
He met by his sister too, though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
The beef between YoungBoy and G.
You see the look he gave as he looked up at the camera. Now, a lot of this stuff we know because you guys had me check out the other documentaries that have come out, but it's nice to kind of get a refresher. I also feel like this guy's doing a really good job. Ross? He's doing a really good job of like going into super detail with this stuff, so I kind of like that we're going over some of the same stuff again.
G-Money would be further complicated by YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla. Boozilla repped BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas. They were the main rivals of TBG until YoungBoy started his NBA crew. Story goes that G-Money from TBG was beefing with Boozilla from BBG over some stolen drugs. Drugs which some believe YoungBoy himself may have actually stolen, blaming Boozilla. This theory is based on lyrics G-Money rapped on his song Industry, where he claimed YoungBoy's own cousin wanted to kill him. So, on July the 16th, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla drops the song Forgive Me, where he's dissing TBG and repping BBG. He wears a BBG t-shirt in the video, and he shouts out the Bottom Boys as his crew. He'd rap lyrics seeming to suggest that he was a shooter and that he wants to kill a rapper. But more specifically, he dissed another local rapper by the name of FL Doosa. Doosa is from the FL, or Forever Loyalty crew, who would later be closely affiliated with TBG, with Doosa himself later dropping numerous songs with Fredo Bang, Lit Yoshi, and other TBG artists. In Boozilla's song Forgive Me,
I'm not sure, it's not ringing like major bells, so I'm not sure if I knew about this guy before, FL Doosa.
He raps that Doosa is scared to walk through the South and that he's laying down the law in his area. Apparently the beef between Boozilla and Doosa was extremely personal and would eventually turn deadly. But before things would escalate to more violence, YoungBoy would end up making a huge leap forward in his rap career. On September the 21st, 2016, YoungBoy drops the video for his breakout track, 38 Baby. Named after the street he grew up on, Northside 38, this song was a window into his life, fresh out of the streets. The track painted a picture of his daily life, drinking lean, smoking with demons, and sending his hitters at people for any reason he can find, explaining how he's not able to go anywhere without being armed, and having to look out for old friends who turned on him over envy. Frankly, this song described a lot of pressure for a 16-year-old kid to be dealing with at the time. In the track, he also seemed to drop shade on G-Money and TBG, denying their claims that they blew him up as a rapper and claiming that they just don't like the fact that he's now blowing up faster than them. The music video for 38 Baby saw YoungBoy and his friends toting plenty of firearms, and many people were taken aback by seeing somebody so young surrounded by so much danger and communicating the stark reality of their life so clearly over a catchy beat. Footage would later even circulate showing that YoungBoy actually recorded many of the songs from around this period with an actual AK-47 on him in the recording booth. This 16-year-old YoungBoy was living a life truly beyond his years, and this spectacle would attract the attention of many, many more fans and music industry players. The song 38 Baby and its music video has garnered over 100 million views on YouTube to this day, and the song itself was followed by a full mixtape also titled 38 Baby, which dropped on October the 28th, 2016.
Now, we haven't checked out this album yet, which I would love to check out since this is like early on. I'd be really curious to see the sound and kind of like what he's talking about. And I mean, like what he's talking about will fairly be similar, but just the sound would be cool to check out. Obviously, we just reacted to 38 Baby too, which I think is like almost at 6,000 views. Thank you guys. Again, I appreciate it.
This project would truly be the watershed moment of YoungBoy's career professionally, and he would finally get co-signs from respected rappers in the industry. As on the mixtape itself, YoungBoy secured collaborations with fellow Louisiana Baton Rouge legends such as Kevin Gates and Boosie Badass, as well as a verse from his day one brother OG3.
So a lot of people are telling me I have to check out Kevin Gates. I've only like heard a couple like verses from him on the channel, so I'd love to check out more of Kevin Gates as well.
In fact, Kevin Gates, after appearing on the 38 Baby mixtape track Like Me, even got a portrait of YoungBoy tattooed on his right leg just to show his admiration for the rising Louisiana legend. And Boosie would invite YoungBoy to feature on his November 2016 track My Lil Son, where YoungBoy rapped menacingly about sliding on his ops with NBA Joe and 3-3. But back to the 38 Baby mixtape. As well as gaining YoungBoy the respect of heavy hitters in the Baton Rouge rap scene, it also gained YoungBoy an enormous amount of fame and success in the eyes of his fanbase. But bizarrely, in very YoungBoy fashion, rather than reveling in the success of his latest release, just a week after the 38 Baby project dropped, he came out with yet another mixtape, Mind of a Menace 3, releasing on November the 4th, 2016.
A week
this time
later?
coming with yet another major industry cosign, a remix of his song Murder featuring Atlanta blood rapper 21 Savage, a remix which also dropped with a music video the very same day. YoungBoy even later claimed that he became a member of 21 Savage's set of the Blood Gang, or L, and they seemingly fostered a close relationship, something which would unfortunately deteriorate years later. But regardless, at this point YoungBoy seemingly had fully muscled his way into the music industry, and it would be these major moves that would have YoungBoy's name ringing not just in the streets, but also in the corner.
Look at this shot, man. Wow. Something about city lights, man. Like, I don't really like the speed and fast pace of living like downtown city life, but there's something about city lights that's just, you know, something.
Corner offices of record labels. At a certain point in 2016, he started working with super manager Fee Banks, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. Fee would begin to advocate on behalf of YoungBoy in the music industry, ultimately putting him in the position to field multi-million-dollar offers from major record labels. So at this point, YoungBoy was seemingly set. He'd survived the dangerous streets of Northside 38, escaping the trenches with his life, and escaping the clutches of his former crew TBG as a free agent able to take his career wherever he wanted without hindrance. The problem is, sometimes you can rise to the top so fast that it hurts. And unfortunately for YoungBoy, troubling legal issues seem to arrive just as quickly as the money and fame did. And unfortunately, due to the brewing troubles in the streets between his former crew and his extended family, YoungBoy would end up being placed in a difficult position, ultimately catching a serious case that had the potential to put a complete stop to his promising career just as it was getting started. While YoungBoy's star is beginning to rise, the deadly war on the streets of Baton Rouge is raging on. After departing from the crew TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, YoungBoy and his Never Broke Again or NBA collective would become bitter rivals with the former crew, and this situation was only complicated further.
Is that No Cap, Quando Rondo?
By the
speaking of which, I know I haven't done as much from them recently. I was actually thinking that a great way for me to get back into Quando Rondo stuff would be to do his and YB's collab album. And then obviously No Cap I haven't listened to for a while, but definitely want to check out more stuff from him as well.
Ongoing drama between TBG and their original rivals BBG, Baton Boy Gorillas, a crew which YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla was a prominent member of. Despite the two apparently having a falling out in 2015, it would seem that by 2016, Boozilla and YoungBoy's NBA crew had made things right, as Boozilla would post on Twitter that he'd forgiven, as well as tweeting warning people not to play with BBG or NBA, suggesting that these two crews were in alliance against TBG and any of their affiliates. But things would all come to a head for these warring groups at the end of 2016. On July the 16th, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla drops the song Forgive Me, where he's dissing TBG and repping BBG, with lyrics in the song dissing another local rapper by the name of FL Dusa, saying Dusa is scared to walk through the South and that they're laying down the law in their area. It would seem that this lyric was taken as a personal challenge by his opposition, as just after midnight on November the 2nd, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin, 18-year-old BBG Boozilla, real name Keandre Ricks, would be riding his bike near the 2000 block of Nebraska Street, less than a block from his family home. And it was here where he was targeted by gunmen who shot him multiple times in the upper torso and left him dead in the middle of the street. Boozilla's mother would go on to do a distraught interview with WAFB News after reports of the brutal killing became public.
You gotta bury your child. This is so wrong when people kill kids.
Kenya Taylor is still grieving more than a month after her son, 18-year-old Keandre Ricks, was shot and killed just steps away from his Nebraska Street home.
It's like I'm dreaming and I haven't woke up yet. Like, I had a bad dream. I'm just waiting on the Lord to wake me up.
Taylor walked us over to where her son's body was found, a place she's visited often, trying to make sense of the senseless killing.
Then this way he must have fell it right here. Could have had blood all right here.
Now, after this shooting, things get very complicated. It's widely believed that the murder of Boozilla was in connection with the ongoing feud that he had going with FL Dusa, with the majority of the comments on Boozilla's music video Forgive Me seeming to mock him, saying that he said Dusa is scared to walk through the South, and suggesting that this caused somebody to come through and take his life. Now, despite the differences they may have had in the past, naturally the murder of Boozilla would have devastating effects on his cousin YoungBoy and other members of NBA and BBG. So, unsurprisingly, it didn't take long for those on Boozilla's side to attempt to get revenge for his murder.
You know, I just want to comment, like, and I think I said this when I did the other one, the other documentary. It's a vicious cycle, man. And, like, it just, like, this type of mentality leads to a situation that will never end. Because when who's going to be the person that decides, you know what, I'm not going to retaliate? It doesn't happen, right? Unfortunately, it's back and forth. It's back and forth. Oh man, it sucks.
Boozilla was killed around midnight on Wednesday the 2nd November 2016, and retaliation would come around 9.5 hours later, when around 9:30 a.m. on the 2000 block of Kentucky Street, just a couple of blocks away from where the fatal shooting of Boozilla occurred, a vehicle containing YoungBoy and 3 of his NBA affiliates pulls up and starts shooting. Unfortunately, this attempt at revenge ends up going wrong, and somebody from YoungBoy's group ends up getting shot in the neck. Allegedly, NBA Joe.
Police find a man suffering from a gunshot wound to the neck, saying he was shot in a different neighborhood just a few streets away.
With rumors circulating, debating whether or not it was friendly fire from YoungBoy or his side hitting Joe, or the targets of their gunfire returning fire and connecting. And years later, the police report from the incident would even suggest that YoungBoy himself had been firing from the vehicle with an assault rifle. Regardless of exactly who was responsible, at this point the getaway car flees the scene, with the shooters and the injured man driving to the area of May and East Lakeshore Drive. Ultimately, this car would end up getting a flat tire and crashing at the LSU Lakes. Here, the shooters flee, leaving the injured man in his vehicle, where he's fortunately found by police and given medical attention. Naturally, it didn't take long for details of these outrageous back-to-back shootings to hit the news.
At this hour, there are a lot of questions remaining around 2 Baton Rouge shootings. One left a teenager dead, the other ended with the victim wounded at LSU Lakes.
Possibly 3 different scenes, and all 3 may be connected. That's what Baton Rouge police are trying to figure out. They've been interviewing witnesses, but so far they do not have any suspects.
Just after midnight, Baton Rouge police went out to Nebraska Street. 18-year-old Keandre Ricks was found dead, lying in the street, shot multiple times in the chest. Neighbors in the area tell us they saw a silver-colored Hyundai with 3 people inside driving around the area late night and into this morning. Then, shortly after 9:30 this morning, police get a call from a man shot once in the neck around the LSU Lakes. When they finally found him, he was in a silver-colored Hyundai. He was transported to the hospital and listed in stable condition as of now. Baton Rouge police have said the shooting did not start here at the lakes. Instead, they're looking to see if 3 different scenes are all connected. The first was at Nebraska, well, just 8 streets over, or 0.4 miles away. Around 9:30 this morning, police say a man was shot in the neck. He or the suspect then drove 1.4 miles to East Lakeshore and May around the LSU Lakes and called police for help.
This is not a random shooting. They believe the shooter and victim actually did know each other.
Surprisingly, however, the violence was still not over, and the following day, on the 3rd of November 2016, at roughly 9:49 a.m., shooters would return to the street where Boozilla lived with his family and was killed, with officers nearby claiming to have heard 37 gunshots, apparently fired by 2 shooters, who then fled the scene in a getaway vehicle. They would leave 2 homes on the street riddled with bullets, and at this point, the violence in Baton Rouge, held just in this street alone, was spiraling out of control. And at a certain point, the danger was so high that the authorities placed the local school on lockdown out of fear that further shootings would affect the children in the local community.
A number of schools in East Baton Rouge.
Wow, that's insane, man. Like, I can't even imagine that. They're legitimately, like, living in a war zone. Like, that's honestly what's being, like, described right now. That's insane.
Parish are on lockdown for separate reasons today. We start with the 3 schools that were also placed on lockdown yesterday.
Police are still on scene here at the intersection of Nebraska and East Harrison Street. They're looking into reports of shots fired earlier today. Now you can see details are still very limited, but much of the investigation is centered around this white home here right near the intersection of East Harrison and Nebraska Street. This is the latest in a rash of recent shootings in this area over the past few days, including shooting, one that left an 18-year-old dead. The teen was found shot to death Wednesday in the 2000 block of Nebraska Street. That incident happened around midnight. Then yesterday morning around 9:30, a man was shot in the neck on Kentucky Street, which is just a couple of blocks from the spot where that fatal shooting occurred. The victim left the area in a car and then parked around the LSU lakes to call for help. These recent violent incidents near Nebraska have left some residents feeling uneasy.
At this point, even people living on this street were being interviewed by the news, telling them that it's like living in hell.
I live on this street, and this about the worst street to live on. You say living in hell? This is hell right here. The young folks don't have no respect for old Elizabeth.
At some point, the shooting would stop, the smoke would clear, and local investigators would finally be able to piece together exactly what had happened and putting those involved in handcuffs. A 17-year-old man by the name of Trayshawn Coates would be arrested and charged with second-degree murder for the killing of Boozilla, along with a 27-year-old man by the name of Monty Carey. This was reported in The Advocate that also published an interview with Boozilla's mother. In it, she would claim that since the killing, her other children's grades have fallen in school and that they're suffering behavioural issues. And I thought that this was an important detail to include, because you have to remember that when somebody gets killed in a gang feud, it starts a chain reaction, and ultimately, this cycle of violence affects far more than just the victims. Whether it's their innocent relatives suffering depression following the incident, or surviving friends who vow to commit acts of violence in revenge, a vicious cycle is started when that first killing happens that only accelerates with more retaliation, dragging more and more innocent people into this deadly cycle of violence. Anyway,
yeah, and I think that part was, I do agree with him, that part was really important to include, because notice how he said it. He said, whether it's their innocent family members dealing with the depression and like the grief of what happened, or their, associates and family members who decide to go and get retaliation. So he's showing that there are both paths. Like, just because this person was involved in gang activity or violent activity doesn't mean that everybody around him was, like his family or where he came from. And that's the part that I think sometimes we forget, because we'll be like, well, why are you upset? Like, your kid was a gang member, your kid killed people, da da da. And it's like, that's not the relationship that they had with their kid. That's not the version of their kid that they think of or they imagine or see, right? It's different, but we forget that. We lose our ability to connect with the human side of people. So that's kind of sad.
Despite the rumours that FL Dusa was involved in the killing of Boozilla after he dissed him on the song Forgive Me, Dusa, real name Renard Clifton, would not be connected to this incident officially, though theories would circulate online suggesting that he was the one that sent the hit. He would remain free following this incident, going on to release songs like Straight Facts. However, he would end up in jail on a separate attempted murder charge stemming from a double shooting on the 3rd of June 2018, which we'll go into in detail later. But with the shooters of Boozilla in cuffs, the Baton Rouge police would next be tasked with finding those NBA members who slid the following day, with one member who got shot in the neck already in the arms of law enforcement. Their next job was to get their hands on YoungBoy himself. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he would be tracked down by authorities, being arrested on November the 28th, being taken into custody by US Marshals just before he could get on stage at a show in Austin, Texas, in dramatic scenes that were even caught on camera.
Hey, get inside, get inside! Hey, get the hell inside, get the fuck inside!
YoungBoy was charged on suspicion of attempted first-degree murder from the alleged drive-by shooting, while NBA Big B, real name Trulondrick Norman, was also involved in the shooting but wouldn't get arrested for his role in it until 2019. There was also NBA Ben 10, real name Ben Fields, who would also be identified as having participated in this drive-by shooting. As a result, following the arrest of the NBA crew and YoungBoy himself, the local news would begin to report on this dramatic takedown of one of Baton Rouge's most promising rappers.
17-year-old rapper Kentrell Gaulden, better known by his stage name NBA YoungBoy, is behind bars tonight after being taken into custody by federal authorities before a concert in Austin, Texas.
Tonight, police say they've arrested 17-year-old Kentrell Gaulden, a rapper known by his stage name NBA YoungBoy, in connection to a drive-by shooting on Kentucky Street. Detectives believe those shootings may have been in retaliation to Rick's death and say more arrests are possible as they continue to investigate.
At this point, YoungBoy would be taken back to Louisiana and booked into prison with a $200,000 bond being set. But the Baton Rouge police weren't done seeking justice yet, as the final piece of the puzzle would fall into place once police announced an arrest in the third shooting, which occurred on Boozilla's Street the day after NBA members had attempted to get revenge for his death the previous night. with cops identifying 20-year-old Derek Geis, who was taken into custody, accused of being the getaway driver for 2 other shooters, being charged with attempted murder, attempted second-degree murder, aggravated criminal damage of property, illegal use of a weapon, and simple criminal damage to property. And he would ultimately end up pleading down to a lesser weapons charge and getting only 2 years in jail, with
That's
cops
crazy,
ultimately
too.
identifying one of the shooters in the case as Michael Odenyinma, as well as, shockingly, Trayshawn Coates, that very same person.
So when I say that's crazy, it's crazy in relation to non-violent charges that you can get put into prison for like a really, really long time. And this is one of the things that I think, you know, currently is like there's a lot of attention on, is people that are in prison for non-violent drug offenses. Like specifically, I'm going to talk about like weed charges, like around marijuana, right? There's people spending crazy amounts of prison time. And then you see something like this, like 37 shots fired into like homes on a residential street. And it's 2 years because they plead down to whatever. Like obviously he probably, you know, had to give up something or whatever. But it's pretty wild to see that variation in punishment in the U.S. system, right?
Who was charged for the Boozilla murder just the day before, which means that if true, the person that killed Boozilla did it, got spun on by NBA, and still went back the very next day and shot up that same block again. But unfortunately, due to him being just age 17, there was never any public reporting on whether or not he was found guilty for these crimes or sentenced. The murder of Boozilla and days of deadly violence that followed truly rocked this Baton Rouge community, as well as those connected to the victims. Many NBA members would get RIP Boo tattoos on their necks, and others would be seen toting guns at Boozilla's grave. Regular celebrations would be held called Boo Day on his birthday in his honor, and at the 2018 celebration of Boozilla's life, his mother would speak to a crowd, delivering some poignant words to a number of friends and family who had gathered in the area.
It's just my baby time to go. Yes, it hurts. But the good Lord called him home, so he in a better place. And if they asked him to come back here, he wouldn't even much want to come back here. He just gonna wait on us to come up there, so y'all gotta do good, so y'all can make it to heaven. He was like, he just for the Lord. I know a lot of people out here doing a lot of stupid things, and I ain't gonna tell y'all don't handle y'all business, but if they ain't coming at you, don't worry about it. But if they come at you, you handle your business. That's all I can tell you. But all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pray for all of y'all. Pray y'all make it home safe, and pray for y'all every day. Because I don't want nobody to go through what I'm going through, because this really hurts. This like about to send me insane. Like some days I do good and some days I have my bad days, and today just a good day. But I don't want to see nobody mama going through what I'm going through, nobody's siblings, nobody's family, nothing, because that really hurts.
You know, and it's crazy too, like her advice, I mean, you can't even really fault it, but like her advice of like, if nobody's coming at you, don't do anything. If they're coming at you, handle your business. And it's crazy, again, like someone like me that lives in the life that I live, that has the experience that I have, can't relate to anything like this. Like I've never had to be put in a situation like that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
They like when somebody do things like that, change the person's whole life. You think you don't hurt that person, you ain't hurting that person because it ain't meant for them to be here. They gonna leave here. So that person at peace, but that person's family is suffering. So all I want y'all to do is do good, get y'all education, be the best y'all can be. The sky's the limit. Whatever y'all want to do, y'all do.
It's important to remember that no matter how many songs or social media posts glamorize the sliding that goes on between these gangs, behind this are grieving families, mothers and siblings who have to live with the consequences of these split-second decisions. And as she said, when somebody dies in the gang wars, that person who died is at peace. It's everyone else who was innocent to the original beef that has to live on with the grief of someone else's impulsive decisions. Sadly, it would take many years for YoungBoy to realize the consequences of the violence playing out in his music and in his life. But for now, he would be stuck in the system waiting for a chance to plead his case in front of a judge. At the time of these charges, YoungBoy was only 17 years old, but Louisiana is one of the few states in the US where 17-year-olds can be charged as adults. And so, YoungBoy spent December 2016 to August 2017 incarcerated, waiting for updates on his case. But at least for the fans, it wasn't all
like 9 months.
All bad, because while YoungBoy was locked up, his management team got to work and did their best to keep his music career alive. They created an updated updated version of his previous project, Before I Go, re-releasing it as Before I Go Reloaded, removing the songs Stuck With Me, Change, and All Night, and adding that 21 Savage remix of Murder, along with the track Bands and Fact. Then, on April the 14th, 2017, the label also released a reloaded version of his Mind of a Menace 3 mixtape, which removed the Murder remix with 21 Savage because they just put it on the Before I Go Reloaded mixtape, as well as taking off the tracks Life and Booting in this, and adding the tracks Blowing Up and Just Made a Play featuring Moneybagg Yo. So, while YoungBoy was sitting in jail, all of these songs that were being released were picking up heat in the streets, and fans would eagerly await his release. And eventually, to some people's surprise, YoungBoy was actually able to cut a pretty favourable deal with prosecutors, copping to the lesser charge of aggravated assault with a firearm. On August the 22nd, 2017, YoungBoy was sentenced to a term of 10 years suspended prison time and 3 years of active supervised probation.
So I actually don't know how that actually works. If somebody wants to like explain, or maybe he'll explain in a second, but if he doesn't explain in a second, if somebody wants to let me know, and then if I don't see it in the comments, I'll look it up myself. But I see this term a lot, and I actually don't know what it means or how it works. The suspended 10-year prison term. So
of 10 years suspended prison time and 3 years of active supervised probation, which essentially meant that he was able to get out of jail and return to his music career. But the potential to have to go back and serve a full 10 years in prison would now follow him around for 3 years, along with a probation officer who would be closely supervising his every move going forward. In addition to that, he was also ordered to pay a fine of $5,000 and do 250 hours of supervised community service, which apparently even included doing an anti-violence PSA, which to the disappointment of fans everywhere, never seemed to actually surface publicly. But YoungBoy wouldn't simply waltz out of the courtroom, because apparently during that sentence, he had what was described as a tense but respectful back and forth with District Judge Bonnie Jackson. Apparently during the case, she admonished him for going out with his boys, looking for trouble, and finding it. But YoungBoy, to his credit, kept his cool during this exchange, taking full responsibility for everything that had gone down in the incident. Judge Jackson went on to say that she didn't care about YoungBoy's celebrity status and suggested that his rap music wasn't helping the high rates of violence in the community that he was coming out of. The judge would tell him directly that the genre of music that he makes has a lot to do with the mindset that people have, suggesting that it normalized violence. Apparently, YoungBoy actually interjected at this point, reminding the judge that nobody had actually died in the incident, with the judge clapping back, saying that he's lucky that he's such a bad aim and that he wasn't facing first-degree murder charges. It's also worth pointing out that the court did hear about how YoungBoy had been trying to make a difference in his community by looking after his mother, buying her a home, and giving out school supplies to local children. The judge would then make a smearing and condescending remark about the fact that YoungBoy had 3 kids at 17 years old. In response to that dig by the judge, YoungBoy promised to do right by his family, and once YoungBoy accepted his plea, he would be released from jail ahead of the actual sentencing.
That's an interesting back and forth, man.
Being welcome homed by hotshot rappers like Boosie and Young Dolph, YoungBoy would be seen fresh home on social media, being greeted by his NBA crew, and rocking the same Burberry button-up shirt that he was booked for the crime in.
Say where my new boys at, man? On Montana. What up, Meg, man? What's up, baby? I'm coolin', man. Austin, Texas, man. We got to see what the deal is.
Being greeted outside jail by Montana in a white Maybach.
Man, it's the best feeling ever. We got KD right there, we got Davis, we got Max Harden. Man, you know what it is.
YoungBoy was fresh home, and music would be the first thing on his mind. He would be seen filming freestyles in the same outfit and surrounded by his crew and manager Big Dump.
Call 3 years, tell them I don't want to chat in the studio with Shade, in the studio with Strange on the grind every day. I've been chasing that sack real 38, baby. I'm from the track.
His first major release since his release would be the biggest song of his career so far, the track Untouchable. This was a big single where YoungBoy spoke optimistically about making it out of the struggle of the Baton Rouge streets and vowing to make the most of this opportunity that he had to make it through music, and declaring his intention to move out of Baton Rouge to Los Angeles, where he would hope that he no longer needs to carry a gun. Untouchable ended up hitting number 95 on the Billboard charts, becoming YoungBoy's first solo single to chart in the United States. By August 2017, YoungBoy was back in the studio, ready to focus on his music career, despite the prying eyes of a probation officer set to be following him for the coming years. So, following the successful release of Untouchable, YoungBoy's team would drop his latest mixtape, AI YoungBoy, on August the 4th, 2017, a project which would end up landing at the impressive number 24 on Billboard's 200 album chart.
Now, we haven't reacted to AI YoungBoy. Man, there's so many. There's so many projects. I'm never gonna be done reacting to YoungBoy music, which is amazing. But we've done AI YoungBoy too, and unfortunately, it is blocked on my channel. It got to live on my channel for quite some time, but about a week ago, I got an email and it said that they decided to deny my copyright disputes and block the video. So actually, it's a good thing because I will make sure that I upload it to Patreon. I don't remember if it's on Patreon. It might be on Patreon. If it is, you can check it out there. If not, I will put it up there and then you'll still be able to check it out up there. But AI YoungBoy 2, I love that album. It was really, really good.
This also included another popular single, the track No Smoke, which surpassed Untouchable and ended up landing at number 61 on Billboard's Hot 100 singles chart. YoungBoy was storming the charts and seemingly attracting the attention of both labels and other rappers. Funnily enough, on the song GG, YoungBoy seemed to suggest that Chicago rapper Lil Durk and his collective had tried to sign him to his crew and record label, OTF, or Only the Family. But YoungBoy would have bigger ideas than signing to another rapper, as only days after YoungBoy's sentencing went public, it would then be announced that he had officially signed to Atlantic Records in a huge 5-album contract reportedly worth $2 million.
I mean, YoungBoy will drop 5 albums in like, a year, half a year. So it's not like he's locked in for a super long time.
And YoungBoy would seemingly celebrate this deal by purchasing a tiger and telling fans that he got paid a big bag.
I'm like, you pay me.
You pay me.
I got that bag, I'm getting paid for everything I do.
So, despite losing his cousin Boozilla and very nearly losing his freedom attempting to get revenge, in the end, YoungBoy would escape a long prison sentence, returning to the music career that was buzzing before he went to jail and taking it to new heights, landing chart positions on Billboard and a multi-million-dollar deal with a major record label. Things were on the up for the NBA crew, but despite the wins they were having in the industry, there would still be tension in the streets, as YoungBoy had a whole host of enemies who would be dissing him while he was locked up, and desperate to see him fall when he was released, with the NBA crew ultimately taking drastic action to protect their star prospect.
The Scotty Kane beef. See, this is what I like. Again, like, I watched those documentaries, but they were very centered around TBG, BBG, that entire thing. And I feel like in this one, it's really going in depth and giving like a bigger picture. So I'm learning a lot. I think this is great.
When YoungBoy began picking up steam as a rapper in Baton Rouge, naturally, he attracted a lot of opposition. After parting ways with former street crew turned label TBG, Top Boy Gorilla, he would find himself at war with their main artists, G Money and Fredo Bang. But they wouldn't be the only enemies that YoungBoy would make in the city. In November 2015, YoungBoy dropped a song called Homicide, a collaboration with another Baton Rouge rapper by the name of Scotty Kane. They would appear together on the song and in the music video, and apparently YoungBoy would become friends with Kane. But later, they had a falling out, with some suggesting that Kane may have felt slighted by lyrics on his song So Long, where YoungBoy rapped that he blew up in his city and that he was getting views even without the song with Scotty. This was followed by an IG live clip where YoungBoy would rap lyrics saying that someone changed on him. Apparently at some point, Scotty Kane caught YoungBoy in a studio and slapped him, later taking to social media to explain his side of the story, saying that YoungBoy had begged him for a verse and after asked him for money for shoes, and saying that he was trying to get close to Scotty Kane's crew because he had fallen out with TBG, with Kane even going as far as to tell YoungBoy if he really has money, then send a hit and kill him.
I'ma address the situation like a man. Your bitch ass rolled my cousin. Y'all came to the studio, he begged me to do the first verse. I did not want to do it. I thought about it. I'm like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get a chance. I did the verse, your bitch ass asked me to put some on your shoes. You not with my label, bitch ass, so you. I'm doing what I'm going to have with you on shoes and videos for. It was over there riding TBG, they wanted to raw your ass out. Now your ass come trying to rap mafia music. Now you get on and do all this. You got bread, kill. Drop your bread, man. What the don't do all that. Hear me, come see me. Living like that. But you know me. I'm living like that all day, every day. You know how I'm coming.
In response to this deadly threat from Kane, YoungBoy would reply to this by rapping more lyrics from the song Gravity and showing that he had goons behind him ready to shoot.
Yeah, and I don't owe nobody but my mama, boy, and my they was doing super honey, boy.
I like the song Gravity.
Remember, I ain't had nothing to eat, I go steal for it. Show you my bank account, I swear I got 6 figures large. Around me, they hating, probably won't snake me for it. These under the skies, living under the board. I hate these they wasn't made for it. Lord, please don't mistake me, play gon' die, cause I ain't going for it. In this life that I'm living, I pray I make it through the night. As I ride through my city, I'm thinking, looking at the lights.
YoungBoy would appear to address the incident on the song Who You Supposed to Be, admitting that he was sent an address where he pulled up and where he was confronted by 3 people, and seemingly admitting to crying when they pulled out guns on him, but still mocking them for not using the guns, and ending the track seemingly threatening to kill Scotty Kane. Later on, Pablo El Chapo, who had apparently intervened in this incident where guns had been pulled on YoungBoy in a studio, posted a clip to social media seemingly confirming that YoungBoy cried and suggesting that he had saved his life.
But I do know, little young boy, when you pull them rods on your ass, you was crying in that studio. I saved your life. I told my younger man, leave that slide, bro. That crying, man. Crying in front of his manager, man. Slide, he ain't about that gang shit. Y'all asked him to fight, he won't fight. Then when he brought up the gun, we could do it with the gun. Pulled 3 guns in your face, you was crying. Ass boy. Chapo saved.
Kane would actually respond to YoungBoy in a diss track of his own, only days after his cousin Boozilla was gunned down. Scotty Kane would drop the YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke, produced by prolific TBG producer Austin on the Track. On this track, Kane would return YoungBoy's death threats with threats of his own, as well as saying that somebody killed Boozilla and he didn't do anything about it.
See, again, like I don't know any of this stuff, so like for me, this all feels like super new. This is crazy though. People are like, okay, I'm gonna just let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
Kind of an ironic lyric, considering that a month after this song dropped, YoungBoy would indeed be charged with double attempted murder, attempting to do something about Boozilla. But while YoungBoy was in jail for doing exactly that, Scotty would drop a video on Instagram, seemingly distancing himself from this beef.
Hey, look, man, I'm on the road to success, man. I ain't with none of that. Y'all can have that shit. I ain't with that bitch. I ain't trying to kill none of you. I ain't trying to do none of that with none of you, man. Y'all need to have it. Son, I got kids. I got so much going on good for me, dog. Like, it's a lot happening right now. I ain't with no cop and deuces and nothing. I just ain't with it. Like, I ain't having this, dog. Like, too many people that's depending on me. Too many people that care about me. I don't need to be doing all this dumb. Like, I gotta do this for my kids and my family and everybody else that love me, dog. Like, all y'all can have it. And y'all want it, y'all can have it.
And he would go on.
I don't know how this story ends, but I certainly hope for his sake that is true, because I think that's a part that people don't think about because they get caught up in the male, like, machismo, don't back down, my ego will get damaged if, you know, he punks me or he says something and I don't retaliate. So I hope he means that stuff, or he meant that stuff. Obviously, this is in the past.
On to say in an interview with Gutter TV that he regretted dropping his death-threatening YoungBoy diss, NBA Smoke.
Like, I ain't gonna lie, even though NBA Smoke did so many views, I regret it. You feel me? Like, I'ma honestly say that. Like, I didn't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's certain shit that you gotta... I feel like that was my flaw, that song, you feel me? So, y'all saying that raw and all that did... try to do this and that. I don't even like the song, tell the truth. I hate that. I don't care how many views they got on it, you feel me?
However, the beef would be reignited when YoungBoy returned home from jail. Scotty Kane would post a clip to social media showcasing a long set of both bankrolls and fingernails and saying, "Get your cash, you don't get any money."
Bro, get your cash up, bro. You ain't get no.
This would attract a response from OG3, who posted a picture of YoungBoy with money and a caption saying what Kane was holding ain't half of what YoungBoy's holding. This would apparently prompt a response from Kane, where he said that OG3 was holding his big dog's money. Now, I couldn't actually find that post, but YoungBoy seemingly responded from the back of his Maybach, even dragging his manager Fee Banks into the situation.
I don't know what's wrong, dude. Wanna listen to my music, be on my got a free young boy this. Say Fee, man, you better tell him I ain't got no big dog, man. Everything in my pocket for me. Wrong these, man. Tripping, boy, get off my. You know what it is.
Apparently, a few months later, Scotty got his chain taken, and YoungBoy would clown him online immediately after the thieves exposed that they had taken his chain.
Boy, I damn gonna take anything off my nigga.
However, something else would also happen during this beef that would appear to be much more sinister. A prominent producer for TBG, Austin on the Track, who had made numerous beats for songs made by YoungBoy's biggest rival G Money and Scotty Kane himself, as well as landing credits for Chicago rappers like G Herbo. Austin on the Track was quite literally the person who made the beat for Scotty Kane's NBA YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke. Well, at around 7 p.m. on the 10th of August 2017, TBG affiliated producer Austin on the Track, real name Austin Rashad Norwood, was sitting in a car with another person outside the Ardenwood Village apartment complex on North Ardenwood Drive. At this point, somebody turned up and sprayed the car with bullets, after which the suspected shooter fled the scene in a car before crashing and escaping on foot. This would leave the passenger injured and Austin himself dead at the scene. This was a brutal assassination, with investigators being seen examining the bullet-riddled scene. But in a chilling turn of events, the body of Austin would even be left in place in the driver's seat of the car, which was towed away from the murder scene, with detectives claiming that the entire car with the body inside it had become a crime scene and would need to be moved with the body to a controlled environment so that they could process all of the DNA evidence. Police would ultimately describe the murder.
I didn't think that that's a thing that would happen. Like, I always thought they investigate it on, they take all the pictures, they get all the evidence, then they can like respectfully remove the body and take it away because they have all that stuff. That's interesting.
As a suspected robbery, with cops claiming that Austin and his cousin had gone to an address to sell a cell phone that they had advertised online, a situation described on the news as a setup.
A man is shot and killed while trying to sell a phone on North Ardenwood Drive last night.
2 men shot after police say they were lured to the Ardenwood Village apartments in hopes of selling a cell phone to someone they met online. At some point, that transaction taking a dark turn.
While there, the individuals attempted to rob them, shot into the vehicle, striking both victims.
With the victims left for dead inside the car, the suspected shooter allegedly took off. Sergeant Elgin McNeely says for now, it's unclear if whoever pulled the trigger acted alone.
We're just keeping it open-ended and not going to dictate if it's 1, 2, or 3, 4 different suspects, but as the investigation continues, we'll determine all the individuals that was involved.
Now, as far as I was able to find out, this murder was never solved. And once again, let me make it very clear, there's nothing connecting YoungBoy or the NBA crew to this crime, but it's certainly yet another case of somebody involved closely in the rap scene in Baton Rouge, in this case, the producer of prominent YoungBoy diss tracks, who seemingly wound up losing his life in a brutal gangland-style slaying, with the police none the wiser as to...
And I mean, I guess, like, you know, the reason he's mentioning that, he says, like, there isn't actually any evidence to support, but you can start seeing how people would connect those dots, right? You think about, like, what he's produced, who he's produced for, who those people have beefs with, YoungBoy and crew, and now he's dead. So you can see how people would connect those dots. Interesting.
To who was responsible. A month after this brutal murder, in September, it was believed that Scotty Kane and YoungBoy would finally squash their beef, after Scotty Kane posted a picture of them together on a FaceTime call, along with a caption suggesting that they were on positive terms and both focused on earning money and success rather than beef. Though it would seem that the NBA crew would eventually have the last laugh, as many years later, Scotty Kane would get a taste of his own medicine. He himself ultimately wound up getting jumped on camera in a studio, just like YoungBoy did. And OG3 would later even be seen on social media with the person who had allegedly jumped Kane. Fortunately for YoungBoy, the Scotty Kane beef would be resolved without anyone losing their life. Sadly, however, not everyone would be so lucky. The most prominent beef that YoungBoy was involved.
So we know about this story, but I'm excited to see it from his point of view, or what his research uncovered, because I do feel like he's leaving no stone unturned. So far, I'm really impressed by the documentary, going really in depth and like giving a bigger picture than just the specific thing that's happened. So I'm curious to see what I'll learn on this part.
Involved in during his rise to fame was with G Money. Real name Garrett Burton, he was a former friend and a star over at YoungBoy's former label, TBG.
Damn, how tall is this dude? Unless that's like a fake car, like he's taller than this G-Wagon. Like, how tall is this guy? Was this guy? Sorry, you know, rest in peace. Obviously, he's no longer alive, but...
Garrett Burton, he was a former friend and a star over at YoungBoy's former label, TBG. YoungBoy's other biggest opposition, Scotty Kane, would release the scathing YoungBoy diss track NBA Smoke just days after YoungBoy's cousin Boozilla got killed. And while YoungBoy ended up in jail on attempted murder charges for attempting to avenge Boozilla, G Money was linking up with YoungBoy's ops and building alliances to diss him. In January 2017, G Money linked up with Pablo El Chapo, one of the people who'd been in the studio when Scotty Kane allegedly stuck up YoungBoy with a gun and made him cry. They would collaborate on a new YoungBoy diss titled WNBA Smoke, where they referred to him as WNBA YoungBoy and dissed him extensively. G Money would rap saying that he will send a blitz to take out YoungBoy and his team for dissing him, as well as warning YoungBoy that he will kill him for beefing with them. G Money also appeared on Scotty Kane's song Ain't Gon' Ride, where G Money rapped how he heard someone dissing him, but he can't kill them because they keep posting on Instagram. When YoungBoy got out of jail, he dropped his AI YoungBoy mixtape, and that included numerous lyrics seemingly responding to G Money, like the track Ride On 'Em, where YoungBoy seemed to say outright that he's not squashing the beef and that he just talked to the devil, as well as saying that the only way the beef is going to end is if G Money gets shot. And he would go on to rap that he's dropping a bag on him and his crew, and that they're going to ride on him and smash him. YoungBoy was seemingly letting the whole world know that he was planning to pay to have G Money killed. And throughout the verses, he would make bold claims saying that he's going to get it by any means and that the beef is never getting squashed. He would claim that his rising fame had his rivals mad, and saying that somebody is going to get their head bust for making a diss song about him. YoungBoy would also claim to be the reason that their friend got killed, going on to rap that somebody shot up his grandmother's house with a .22, but his shooters got back and sent the ops a special delivery from YoungBoy. Now, it's unclear exactly who YoungBoy is talking about having had killed here, but it could have something to do with a rumor that members from a TBG-affiliated crew called TMH, or Too Many Hitters, shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house, with TMH32 later denying having shot up YoungBoy's grandmother's house in his song FAN. Anyway, clearly G Money wasn't scared of YoungBoy's counter-threats, so he would decide to turn the disrespect up to a whole new level. On August the 15th, 2017, a sensational interview emerged where G Money seemed to be talking extremely recklessly about YoungBoy, suggesting that they used to be homies, but pointing the finger at YoungBoy, saying that he started sneak dissing him once he became successful.
So, I mean, do y'all have history? Were y'all ever cool, years prior?
Yeah, that little like my little partner. He used to be like my little brother. He stayed with me and everything. Everything was still all good until he started, like doing his own thing, getting him a little buzz, getting a little money. He just got the big head and just started like the feelings he been feeling probably deep down inside that he was scared to put out. He let that out once he got a name and got from down here.
And then G Money dropped maximum shade by being very disrespectful about YoungBoy's sister and saying that he'd slept with her.
He mad about his sister too, though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had her a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Initially, G Money and YoungBoy would go back and forth on Instagram, with G Money making a post suggesting that he's not jealous of YoungBoy because he's already rich and living where the white folks live.
Living like I'm already rich and I ain't even rich yet. And I'm living with the white folks. What's wrong with these don't impress me, man. You hear me? I know real money, man. Don't impress me, man. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Copycat. The next you see me do, you want to do, but you supposed to be up, though.
YoungBoy would reply with his own story, asking G Money why he doesn't like him, and saying that he doesn't like G Money and he's down to beef.
Saying, Dick, what you don't like me or something like that or rap? I'm saying, like, what you got something against me? Say that damn, man. Don't be on Instagram that in 2 different states. You know it real. Stop playing. What you said? Huh? I'm about beefing. What it is? You hear me? You is. Get it. Don't you, man? I don't like you. I'm gonna keep on it. I don't like you.
G Money would reply saying F YoungBoy and he doesn't care if he doesn't like him, going on to accuse him of copying his style by posting pictures with a Mercedes G-Wagon.
Like a for you to like, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Just copping off I pull up in that wagon, you go take a picture by a G-Wagon. Boy, you really my son. Stop watching me, man. Oh yeah. Get off.
Then, a few days later, G-Money would officially go at YoungBoy on wax with the scathing diss track, Industry. G-Money's diss song Industry called out YoungBoy and the whole NBA crew on a number of bases. It had those lyrics that seemed to hint that YoungBoy had been the one who tipped off G-Money about his cousin Boozilla running off with drugs, and it had more lines seemingly confirming that he had hooked up with YoungBoy's sister, putting maximum disrespect on him. He also dissed YoungBoy for sneak dissing him, and as the title of the song suggested, it dropped shade on YoungBoy for signing a record deal and no longer being in the streets, with G-Money suggesting that after signing this deal, YoungBoy had turned industry. The song also had another important lyric that seemed to confirm rumors that G-Money had actually had a price put on his head. G-Money even mentions YoungBoy's mother, saying he can't kill him because he's Sharonda's son, indicating that G-Money knows YoungBoy's mother well. He also called out 3-3 and Montana from NBA, saying that they don't want beef with him. G-Money also brushed off YoungBoy's earlier suggestion that he could pay to have him killed, saying that he will kill anyone who tries them, ultimately declaring Baton Rouge his city. The music video for Industry also included a Chucky doll, which was actually a reference to an early YoungBoy video called What I Was Taught that dropped way back in September 2016. But G-Money wasn't done there. The following month, he would continue to diss YoungBoy, dropping yet another diss song, this time in a remix to Bodak Yellow, calling YoungBoy a fake and warning him not to mess with TBG, as well as saying that YoungBoy is hating on G over a woman and that he used to be TBG but switched up on the crew. G would also shade YoungBoy for signing to a label, saying that by contrast, he got to where he was without a deal, as well as warning that he would be sending shooters to YoungBoy's home. He would reference the NBA crew, saying that he thinks he's Steph Curry, referring to a player in the actual NBA known for his accurate shooting, and G would end the song saying that somebody tried to kill him but failed and got killed in return. It would seem for a while.
That's crazy, man. Again, this is why I'm liking this, is because it's like very, very detailed on this stuff.
That YoungBoy just wasn't responding, but G-Money would continue to go at YoungBoy and the NBA crew any chance he got. In a September Instagram live session, he would continue throwing shade at YoungBoy, mentioning that a Baton Rouge rapper got hot and left everyone behind, and saying that YoungBoy is scared of him and his gang.
These rappers in Baton Rouge be hating anyway, you hear me? These don't be sticking together down here. So what the fuck I look like getting you? When you do this and do that and do that, you ain't sticking with it. You. All these down here, man. You heard me? Most of these head over, man. You see, put your head down, nigga. And I can be by myself and you can be with 1,000, man. Yeah, for real. Yeah. If you ain't with us, you can't hang with my gang. And that's on God. Ain't no banging with the gang. I ain't tripping on no dissing on none of that, you heard me? It's all good. But just remember, I was there for now. I ain't never do no fake hating ass like us did, you hear me?
G-Money would go on to diss YoungBoy's whole family and say that he's TBG until he dies.
Like on everything I love, man. You, your mama, your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, whoever. Yeah, TBG Gorilla Gang, TBG till I die.
G would also claim to be respected on YoungBoy's native Chippewa Street, saying that he pulled up with his gun and that people had tried to protect YoungBoy.
I ran on Chippewa, man. You heard me? I respect it out there. You know what I'm saying? I pulled up out there with a 38 when the whole chopper trying to save a. But I ain't gonna speak on it. You hear me? Way throwback. You hear me? 13, you know. 14, 15, 16. You know, throwback. Damn, man, who got a problem with Young around here? Now Young on the other side. Ain't crazy?
He would also diss YoungBoy's team, saying that everybody in TBG is a boss.
How you be how he a boss and he got a CEO and all that shit, you hear me? You know, that bullshit, they got run them. Don't nobody run nobody over here. Everybody bosses. Yeah, nothing but bosses over here. Be looking at because they got money, man. Y'all think real? Make no real, man.
G-Money would even claim that YoungBoy got robbed and stripped and didn't retaliate, with his goons saying YoungBoy won't survive a beef with him.
You ain't do nothing about it. Boy, strip. You script and you ain't do nothing about it. So how you think you could? So how you think you could tell me something? How you think you can go against me? How you think you can do that? You won't survive. Come on.
Clearly, this was a very personal beef aimed at YoungBoy.
I mean, that's hard. Like, it's hard to have something like that being said and really keep your cool and not move forward with retaliation. because there's only so much that a person can take, right? I don't know, man. All right. We know where this goes.
Crew. And at this point, both sides have made outright threats declaring their intentions to kill their opposition. Now, it's been speculated that YoungBoy's manager Big Dump might have had something to do with potentially putting a price on G Money's head. And in September, G Money would seemingly be posting disses to YoungBoy on social media, all while giving clues as to his own exact location. In one video, G Money, standing outside, would claim that YoungBoy started rapping and became a killer after he got a record deal.
Say, Lil, you know you ain't living like that, man. You get a deal and you done turn to a killer. When you start doing all that, man, you know you ain't cut like that, man. You know TBG been your muscle, boy. And the same you talking about usually don't live in jail, wherever they at, man. That's the same you ought to move on the city, man. Yeah, you remember Will? Yeah, Will's out there. Yeah, you remember you ran out that store, man. You know what's happening with us, man. You hear me? Real. And I'm living out shit, you hear me? Everything you got with a deal, like I without a deal, man. You hear me? You know, 30 plus on my with no deal. Yeah, for real. Driving in $100,000 coupes, man. Yeah, with no deal, boy. You better stop playing and stay in your place, son.
If you watch that clip carefully, you can see a window with white bars and black shutters beside it, with the building itself having red brickwork and a black security door. In this clip, G Money is standing in front of a recording studio at the 1900 block of Dallas Drive that TBG were known to record at. This studio was also featured prominently in the music video for G Money and Boulevard Quick's song Set Trippin'. And this studio is the exact location where G Money would unfortunately lose his life. On the 10th of September 2017, G Money...
And listen, how many times have we seen this unfold where rappers, like without thinking, are showing where they're at, and maybe not even like purposely saying this is where I'm at, but at a place that might be recognizable to someone who's after them. And
Money would be seen on Instagram at his usual recording studio working on music, seemingly recording a YoungBoy diss song with lyrics where he says that your favorite rapper is a liar. At around 1:30 AM, G Money would be found shot in front of that very recording studio that he recently went live at. Fat Chapo, who was with him at the time of the shooting, said that G Money was caught off guard by a shooter as he walked out of the studio.
I was the first out the door. I'm the one called for help. G walked out that door by himself. I told him before he walked out the door, like, he walked out the door on his own. And they start shooting. When they start shooting, I really didn't know what was going on because I heard a boom, but the music was playing, so it was kind of muffled. When as soon as the shooting stopped, I ran out the door. Nobody was I still never saw nobody. And I saw G laying right there on the ground. And once I seen him, all I could do was call 911. Try to get help.
Once police arrived, officers would be seen in the dark, taping off the scene and doing forensic work, and G Money would end up leaving the scene in a coroner's van, just like the one that he had showed in his music video Industry, where he said that he would put his ops on the news. And the following morning, the news would indeed report on this tragic killing.
Baton Rouge police are looking into a deadly shooting that claimed the life of a local rapper. Police say someone shot and killed 22-year-old Garrett.
The thing is, like, if you look at like the timelines and stuff that are being talked about, like how long the lives were, the videos are, the back and forths are, the things that they're saying, and it's over just like this. Like one split second and it's over. And I think that part, I don't know, man. It's frustrating to me. It's frustrating to me because I don't actually think any of this is necessary. But it's the world we live in, right? So
Burton on Dallas Street around 1:20 last night. Burton performed under the name G Money. Right now, police have not named any suspects or motive. If you can help police or have any tips, you can report them anonymously to Crime Stoppers.
One of G Money's closest friends and fellow TBG-affiliated rapper Fredo Bang, in a DJ Small Eyes interview, would recount breaking down in jail when he heard the news of G's death.
I just broke down in tears. Like Like, you know how a baby cry and you know how a baby cry just yell? I really just, I just sat there and locked up.
Scotty Kane would also react to G Money's death, even telling followers that he was getting DMs telling him that he would be killed next.
Man, I wake up to every day, man. My partner got killed in the morning. What the oh like that, son? Then it's sad to say, man. Talking about not even 25 yet. Like, come on, man. Like, it ain't that serious, son. Before I let you take me, dog, I'm slinging this whoever, whatever, and I don't care who love who. I'm going on my move. Get the on my DM talking about I'm next and all that. Man, I ain't worried about none of that. I ain't worried about none of that. Oh, man. When it's my time regardless, but I ain't worried about none of that. Better stop playing with kill y'all, said I do not play by my life at all. I'm gonna step, yeah. I don't give I'm gonna die about it for real,
The day after G Money was killed, it seemed that fans would attend the scene of the murder, filming the location.
But see, like, that response to me is the problem. Like, this is why this situation will continue forever. In one breath, he's saying it ain't that serious. In the next breath, he's saying if people, I'm about my thing and I'll, die on it and like, or leave. And if the worst thing that's going to happen is people will say that you're a bitch because you left and you ran away, okay? Like, you're alive. For your, the people you were talking about earlier in the video, where you were talking about not wanting to have a beef and not wanting to kill people. And you talked about who? You talked about your significant other. You talked about your kids. You talked about your family, the people that rely on you and that love you and that need you. I think, like, that matters a little bit more than what some idiots think about you or say about you. They're idiots. Who cares? That part frustrates me.
And peculiarly, finding a pillow on the ground. The presence of a bloody pillow at the murder scene would end up going viral, sparking a conspiracy theory that G Money's killers threw a pillow on him after the assassination and told him to go to sleep, with these rumors being further fueled by YoungBoy lyrics that came out later, like the song Step On, where he says, "Lay your bed, I throw the pillow, police after all of my people." And even in his recent single Bitch Let's Do It, where he rapped that his crew will creep up on their ops and lay their heads on a pillow, with YoungBoy even doing an impression of a dying G Money laying on a pillow in the music video. However, for the record, this is just a conspiracy theory, and some of the more sensible YoungBoy fans would work out that this pillow was actually used by emergency medical staff that had attended the scene. But setting aside those rumors, once this went down, all eyes were on the NBA crew, but it would take years before the authorities were able to identify any of the people involved. DeAndre Fields, aka Lil Pap, or NBA Pap, actually the brother of NBA Ben 10, aka Ben Fields, who also got arrested for being in the car with YoungBoy in that same incident after Boozilla's death, where YoungBoy ended up getting the 10-year suspended sentence for. Now, Pap was eventually arrested on second-degree murder charges in connection with the murder of G Money, ultimately being bailed around June 2019.
A lot of you are reacting tonight to the arrest of this man, DeAndre Fields. Baton Rouge police say they arrested him years after the shooting death of a local rapper, Garrett Burton. Back in 2017, Burton went by the name of G Money. He was found shot to death in the parking lot on Dallas Drive there. Police arrested DeAndre Fields for second-degree murder.
And initially, Pap would plead not guilty, but some interesting information would eventually be revealed to the police when they interviewed him after the shooting. He actually told police that he had left Baton Rouge with his mother and son, fleeing to nearby New Roads about 40 minutes away from Baton Rouge after G Money was murdered. As well as this, when asked about his whereabouts on the night of September the 10th, 2017, Lil Pap claimed that he drove to Hammond to get gas. When detectives later obtained his phone records, this claim was proven to be false, as his records revealed that he was actually in Baton Rouge on the night of G Money's death. But perhaps the most shocking piece of information that Lil Pap shared with the police, which I can imagine was a huge driving force behind his indictment, is the following. After police asked Pap who among his friends would shoot people for the NBA group, he replied, "To be honest, me." Now, it's worth adding that in YoungBoy's very first album, Life Before Fame,
why would he say that?
All the way back in 2015, he basically admits that he can call on Pap to carry out what needs to be carried out in the streets on two occasions. Firstly, in the song NBA, and secondly, in the song I Know. Ultimately, Pap would end up pleading out on greatly reduced charges of accessory after the fact of murder and ultimately receiving a sentence of 5 years. Now, interestingly, Pap would go back and forth with the judge during his sentencing, saying that he is taking the deal, but he is 100% innocent. And interestingly, close friend of G Money, TBG rapper Fredo Bang, would later claim in numerous interviews that he did not believe Pap to be G's killer either.
Y'all started sending me that. Niggas still sending it to me. I'm like, you seen it? You seen it? Yeah, I seen it. Oh, you make arrests. Might be wrong. A man ain't do that. Brown.
Do you know the guy that's being charged? You said that you didn't think the guy that they're charging with the murder actually did it.
G Money's own mother would also post on social media saying they still haven't found the shooter of her son and they're still looking. Whether or not you believe NBA Pap when he says that he had nothing to do with the incident, what is clear is that the NBA crew, and YoungBoy specifically, would have the most to gain from G Money being no longer. And going forward, YoungBoy and other NBA members would reference what happened to G Money in numerous songs and videos. The month after G Money's murder, YoungBoy dropped his 10th project, Ain't Too Long, on October the 7th, 2017. This included a number of references to the G Money situation. Firstly, in the murder anthem Red Rum, where YoungBoy claims that he just raised the murder rate in his city. And then, in the song Poor One, YoungBoy seems to be talking directly to G Money throughout the song, alluding to the time when they had a friendship that was
I know this song very well.
like a brotherhood before G Money betrayed YoungBoy's trust by sleeping with his sister and boasting about it online. In the same song, and in the same monologue directed at G Money, YoungBoy reveals that G Money introduced him to them boys who he didn't like for nothing. Them boys most likely being a reference to TBG. Before paying homage to his own fallen friends Boozilla and Lil Dave, YoungBoy would seemingly suggest that G Money had blamed him for drugs that went missing, which caused the tension between YoungBoy and his cousin Boozilla. In another song on the project titled War With Us, YoungBoy talks about the sorry state of affairs in Baton Rouge, saying that one particular week he saw 7 murders and that there is no helping his city. This was a bold lyric that painted a picture of a city completely out of control. The war in the Baton Rouge rap scene had gotten deadly, and now one of the most promising artists in that city was in the grave. With YoungBoy free of his main competition, going on to dominate the scene, releasing song after song and mixtape after mixtape, telling heartfelt tales of his first-hand experiences surviving in the trenches of Baton Rouge. But the biggest question remained. Was YoungBoy just a rapper making music about the violent war taking place in his city, or was he really the murder man, running his rap career like a gang kingpin and using his NBA crew as muscle to stop anyone who dared to get in their way?
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. And then, so this will be part 1. And then the next part will make it a little bit longer. So that I can do it in 3 parts. I want to do it in 3 parts. Oh, I just slipped off my chair. Yeah, man. I think, like, you know, Trap Lord Ross, like, he's doing an incredible job here. I think the detail is what stands out to me. And I feel like I'm getting a lot out of it. Just information and like holes that maybe I've had that are being filled information wise. So cool. We're going to go ahead and stop it right there. Hopefully part 2 within a week of dropping this one. And then part 3 within a week of that. So hopefully within the next couple weeks we'll be done with the whole thing. Yeah, if you guys are still here, I appreciate you spending your time with me. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you next time.